Is this going to be cut?
No.
All right, I'm not going to say anything.
Oh, let's do her.
It's fucking
Game day.
Game day.
Let's drink beer, spark a cig, and have no fear because the Hawks are gonna win today.
Let's black out and rage. It's fucking
Game day. Let's drink beer, spark a cig, and have no fear because the Hawks are gonna win today.
Let's black out and rage.
After the game when we're all tore up,
We'll meet at Mickey's, drunk as fuck.
Hey,
Order a car bomb, call it a night.
go home, get as high as a kite.
Because it's
game day. Let's drink beer, spark a cig, and have no fear because the Hawks are gonna win today. Let's black out and rage. It's fucking game day.
Welcome in, Iowa Hawkeye fans, to another episode of the Hawkeye Tailgate Report. I am Luke Myers. We got Joey and Stin here tonight as well, but it's football season, so we got the 24/7 boys here as well. Sean Bach and David Eichholt. Fellas, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for having a couple of vultures. Really appreciate
A
it.
couple of vultures, yeah. Some not real journalists.
It's good to have a scumbag on the
Yeah,
the
sure.
podcast every now and again.
We did have a Michigan State fan last year one time, though. You remember that?
Yeah,
Yeah, so-
barely.
Did you guys just
Really?
I would say pull them out at tailgate, but then I realized there's no tailgates that were going on last
No,
year.
I actually knew him through Student Union Sports.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of...
I thought you were just in front of your house, just waving people down. Who wants to come on a podcast?
Everybody get over
Let's
here.
go.
Actually, I don't know if you know. Yeah, the premise of the podcast was on game days we would go around to tailgates
Right.
and talk to fans and ask them trivia questions and shit like that.
Oh, okay. That's
So-
sick.
It started out as like a YouTube series.
Yeah.
We got some good vintage clips there, but yeah,
We went to the Iowa State tailgate in 2015.
God.
it was when big
I don't know.
hurricanes were happening.
We were asking people what their favorite hurricane was.
Jeez.
Some people
I
took
can
it.
imagine
not
why
there
they
for
didn't
that
go
one.
over that one.
Supervision was not there.
Some people took it a lot better than others.
You guys would be canceled in this if that was this year. You guys
Yeah.
would be done.
I mean,
Yeah.
CBS Interactive and 24/7 Sports and Hawkeye Insider does not condone asking people what their favorite hurricane is.
they do think it's funny though.
I was younger. I've grown as a person since then. I'd like to think that I won't be judged on the actions of my adolescence.
Shut the hell up. All right. So like I mentioned, it's the football preview show. It's been a long time coming. We got screwed out of 2 games last year and only had an 8-game season. Looked really good down the stretch. And I want to start with the player who probably most Big Ten or Iowa fans dislike the most or criticize the most, and it's my man Spencer Petrus. Now, I've been defending him so much over the last year and a half because I said last season there wasn't really an off-season program. Season started late. It kind of got thrown at him late. After the first, I saw a tweet in his first 4 games versus last 4 games were basically completely different night and day. What do you guys think? That certainly affected him, right?
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. Kirk mentioned at Iowa Media Day last week that Spencer was quarantined for 30 days last offseason.
Yep.
And that was kind of like, whoa, we never heard about that. You hear about guys getting quarantined here and there, but you're like, Spencer Petrus getting quarantined, that's the starting quarterback. That's big, especially for going into your first year as a starting quarterback. So, yeah, I think definitely the first couple games, I think there was some truth to, the struggles with, Purdue. I think that was kind of maybe
Brian.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Northwestern
no,
was
sorry, yeah,
Brian.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
Northwestern.
Northwestern was a good defense, though.
The thing about the Northwestern game, though, was Iowa had that game.
Oh,
they were up 17-0.
right.
You thought it was over, but, Spencer made a couple – I think that's when you really saw that lack of off-season preparation, lack of pocket presence and comfort in the pocket, really, because he had a couple just throws where you're sitting there look, I don't have your vision, but, where are you looking right now?
But also, they were up 17-0,
Yeah.
and they threw the ball 53 times.
Yeah.
I will never, ever forget that.
I was looking at that because I actually wasn't there for the Northwestern game. I was at Clemson that weekend for visiting a couple of my buddies, so I didn't watch the game until a few weeks later. And I did a stat. I was looking at stats this offseason, and it was like Petrus's first 2 games, I think he threw a combined like 87 or 89 passes. That number could be off. I know it's in the
Big Ten.
80s. And then, the next 4 games, he had like next 4 or 5 games, he had like the same amount of pass attempts, which was just absolutely insane to me.
It seems odd because it's like it goes against Iowa's identity as a football team. Like, you're generally speaking run first, and then coming into a COVID season with lack of like normal preparation to throw the ball as often as we did, especially when you consider like that we had Tyler Goodson who ended up being the first team All Big Ten. It's kind of mind-boggling that that's how we decided to attack the first 2 games.
It was very much reminiscent of the Penn State game when Nate Stanley, when he went like 14 of what? No, 14. He was like 20
at
of
Penn
48. Yeah, it was like during the rainy weather and all that.
Yeah,
and all they did was throw.
When T.J. Hawkinson was wide open by like 50 yards.
Yeah,
that was the
one.
game. I'm either getting Northwestern or Penn State mixed up. Wasn't that the game where they did get the ball down within like the 10-yard line, and then there was a missed timeout or a missed signal?
We threw an
he threw a
interception
pick in the end zone.
from like
That
the
was supposed to be
2-yard
Noah Fant.
line. Yeah, there was a miscommunication. Instead of taking a timeout, we ended up throwing the pick. Yeah, that was just a bad game overall.
But you talk about the way Iowa wins and losses correlate in this way is if they throw the ball over 40 times, Iowa's in trouble. Even over 30, 35.
After the game last year, I went on our social page and put up a video. I said, after the Northwestern game, I said, like, 53 times is it's just not Iowa football. Like, I'm not sure. What'd you say, 87 times he threw in those first 2 games?
It was something like that.
Like, I'm not sure if you could go back in the program's history and find back-to-back games where a quarterback for Iowa threw 87 times.
I would take everything Luke says about quarterbacks with a grain of salt, though, because he's on the record saying that Kirk Cousins is his quarterback. So,
jeez.
Kirk Cousins is a perfectly fine quarterback. Vikings had the 11th best offense in the NFL last year. We're not talking about that.
If you want the Uncle Rico of the NFL at quarterback, there you go.
Yeah, I'm not agreeing with any of his stances off the field, but hey. Yeah.
What about his inability to win a game against a team over 500?
Hey, 2 years ago he beat the Saints in the playoffs. Would you like to apologize? But I do want to say, last year also in the Purdue game, Petrus didn't, the running backs didn't do Petrus any favors. Sargent fumbled across the 50 and Goodson fumbled inside the 20.
As good as they both were yesterday, or not yesterday, last year,
That was bad.
To be fair to Goodson, though, that really wasn't his fault because remember the offensive lineman got blocked into Goodson, and the offensive line was the one who actually forced the fumble.
Yeah, but he was wrapped up. Like, the Purdue defender was on him. It's a tough call,
because that was when he was going behind him to push him forward, but he put his arm underneath him, to punch the ball, and that's where even as you like the idea from your offensive line, but at the same time, there's still a certain technique. Like, it's not just run up and hit your guy in the back as hard as you can. Like, there's still a certain technique when you're trying to drive your guy forward.
Yeah, but like I said, the second half numbers for Petrus over the first half last year, he started for something like three touchdowns to 4 interceptions or something like that, and then he ended with 4 touchdowns and 1 interception the rest of the way.
No,
you go.
Like even Kirk mentioned, he mentioned the Illinois game too, which is where the path was going in a positive direction, but that first half where it was just miserable. I think maybe was that touchdown to Bayer in the first half?
I'm not going to lie to you.
Or was it Laporta? It was Laporta.
Yeah, that was his only
Laporta.
touchdown.
Yes, that's right. It was Laporta. I think that was the touchdown. Then I think there were a couple plays where he just threw it right at the receiver's feet, and he just didn't look comfortable. But once that second half came around, things started to switch, and same thing with the Wisconsin game. I don't remember him being all that great in the first half either.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just second half quarterback. I don't know. Literally second when it comes to games and the season.
And does Iowa ever look their best right away? Because
No.
they haven't played a really it's been Miami, Ohio, Northern Illinois. I think I saw Tennessee Tech when I was looking up. They don't play Big Ten teams right off the bat ever.
Which is why I think Kirk has been not openly nervous about it, but that's why he said, I don't prefer playing Big Ten opponents right away because, again, that's just the mantra of Iowa football. And the reality is, I've said this, I don't know how many times, but Iowa has the toughest opening 2-week stretch of any team in the country.
Oh, easily.
If you take both of them, Indiana, I think, is adequately rated. I'm very curious how they're going to come out this year with all the expectations on them, similar to Iowa State, because I don't know how Iowa State's going to come out this year. They have every reason in the world to think they can be a top 5, top 7 team.
Mhm.
I don't think they're going to be.
No, I mean,
But I mean, you host Indiana, then you have to go travel to Ames, and what's going to be the most hostile and highly anticipated Cyhawk game of all time.
Yeah.
And I think it's without question.
Yeah, I think that Iowa State will be good. I'm just interested to see if they can live up to the type of expectations that they've never had as a program, and then also just like coming off your best season ever, but in a weird college football environment where there weren't fans, teams didn't have their normal, camps, players were out for COVID, stuff like that. I don't know. That's going to be a hell of a game, but I don't know. I'm not sold on Iowa State because they haven't been there and done it enough for me to be like, okay, I'll buy into their preseason
Look
hype.
at Iowa 2016.
well, see, that's
after
what I was going to say.
2015.
Yeah.
Every time Iowa returns everybody, after 2009, 2010, we went 8-4 or whatever. 2016, like you mentioned, after 2015, disappointed again. Like when the expectations are at the highest.
To be fair about that, the year they won the Orange Bowl, I think they still could have even been better, but if they had Sean, I mean, that's again I think that's my biggest what if in program history, even outside of Ricky Stanzi, what happened with him, is what if Sean Green had returned for another season with that team?
Yeah.
I mean, I think they make the national championship,
Well,
or at
okay,
least they're number 3 in the country.
I like
or
to
so.
say that too, but then you go back and look, and I think it was Texas and Alabama were undefeated.
It would have been a very interesting call with the way the system had actually played out.
The Brands would win out.
Yeah, I mean, that was back in the BCS days, so I mean, they did what they could to protect the big guys.
Yeah, but so I guess that transitions next into like, you've heard all of the hype around Petrus this summer and whatnot camp. Is the hype real?
I think there's optimism. I think there's definitely optimism with the experience. I think, I thought really after the spring game, the spring games, the spring open practices, from what we saw, I think there was some belief that like, hey, maybe a guy like Alex Padilla could push him, but I never really got the sense that okay, like Petrus's job was in trouble.
My thing was, you can look at the history of Kirk Ferentz quarterbacks, and like there's only been one quarterback truly pulled, and that was Jake Christensen in like 2006 when Ricky Stanzi took his spot. Right. You could say Jake Rudock lost his job. That was just a whole shit show of a year though, where Kirk couldn't make up his mind who he wanted to play.
Right.
So.
And I think Petrus is eventually gonna be like a face of the program type of quarterback. I think I'm with you, Luke. I'm higher on him than most people. I think there's reasons to be critical, but I think when you take into account last offseason, everything that happened, and all the quarantine stuff like that, every program had to deal with it. But 30 days plus, like that is absolutely insane.
And
especially like going into your first year as a starting quarterback.
Yeah,
and I don't know if I read this right, but did he say that he never actually had COVID either?
Never
he just
got
had
COVID.
to quarantine that
Never
many
had
days
COVID.
because of close contacts?
Yeah, never got
that was
COVID.
like at the beginning of COVID, so it's like everything close contact was. It wasn't like this solved. It was.
And like you can use that as an excuse too. Like every team had to deal with it, but I think when you have a starting quarterback that hasn't had any starting experience yet, like barely any game experience, how many passes did he throw before last year? Like 5
Not many.
or like
Not
something like
many
that.
at all.
I think about 8.
8, something
I think
about
it was
that.
like 5 of 8 or something like that.
Yeah, like single digits. So
The thing that I think it's important to take into account, I like that Sean brought up the number. People need to keep in mind, though, that was not over spring and summer. That was summer. That was of their 7-week program, 30-plus days he was in quarantine.
Like when the season got brought back? Or when?
As in, I think it was the combination. Remember, they still had limited summer workouts even before the season got canceled. Which, don't get me started on Kevin Warren.
Oh,
we'll
we
sit
could-
the right.
we
We'll
could rip
talk
him
the rest of
if
the
we
show
want.
about
We can do that at some
about
point.
that.
let's do Iowa
but
football.
Here's
instead.
here's what I'll say though is, I think people can knock Petrus for a lot of things. Specifically, the one play that just stands out to me above everything else, and I felt bad for him because he got grilled for it on Twitter. He got grilled by the media about it. I think it was against Nebraska when he stood in the pocket, span around for no reason, and then threw it in double coverage. And at that point, that's when I looked at him and I'm like, okay, there's seriously something mentally blocking his confidence level right now, or there has to be somebody in the room that has to make a push on him, because if there was going to be a time, that was it. But I think you have to give Petrus a lot of credit for 2 things. One, his resiliency, because I think he had every reason to quit last year to some extent. Yeah, the team was winning. He was not playing well. The final 2 games is, I think, what you saw what he has to be for Iowa to win the Big Ten West this year. 65% of his passes completing a couple deep balls. and making good decisions. Yeah, a couple throws were still in too tight of windows, I think. But you also need to take into account this, that when you miss the spring and you miss the summer, even if you're an experienced player but you're not known as a starter, you aren't getting those one caliber reps. You're not getting those 70% of reps they normally be getting. So the timing between him and the receivers was also off. Now that he's had time with these receivers in a full off season, the timing's without a doubt, I think, going to be better. And I think we saw that when you compare the fall scrimmage and the spring scrimmage. Yeah. And the second thing I think people need to take into account is you can criticize Petrus for a lot of things. I don't think you can criticize his leadership because that kid had every reason to sit up there and immediately spout off, oh, I got quarantined for 30-plus days. Oh, I didn't get a spring. He made no excuses. He said, look, I'm going to evaluate the tape. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to lead the team. And he sat there and took, a lot of criticism. And I think the criticism, especially on social media and everything, was amplified because of, like most things in life, people are super antsy because the normalcy of our entire lives has just been distraught for the past 20 months.
You guys mentioned it a little, but, like, we're only fans, so we only get to see the videos put up on Twitter and all that stuff. But, like, I've noticed in the videos, like, he does look confident. Or, like, when he actually has to talk with the camera, he ain't afraid of it. He'll come up and say what he has to, I think that's a lot different than what we saw a year ago, which I can't blame him. Yeah. I mean, he had never played quarterback at the Division I level, started, so.
Yeah. And, I think there will be improvement, but I want to say, like, I think we should take that first scrimmage the scrimmage we saw this fall or last couple weeks with a grain of salt, considering the defense really outplayed the offense for most of the fall from what we've heard, and like dominated, honestly. But I think the offense will get there. I think, Petrus is the key. I mean, that's the cliche. That's honestly not even a cliche. It's just facts.
I just have a random question, not really relevant to anything.
Okay.
If Nate Stanley was the quarterback last year.
Yes, undefeated.
Okay.
Undefeated?
Yeah.
You think so?
They would have won 8-0 last year.
Plenty of people I know also ripped on Nate Stanley, and I was a huge Nate Stanley apologist.
Oh, I said countless times last offseason, Iowa fans are going to miss the hell out of Nate Stanley.
I have one uncle specifically I remember after the Holiday Bowl. Stanley played great. Iowa kicked ass. I said, you are going to miss Nate Stanley next season. Like, remember this moment. Because, I mean, he was one of the best in Iowa history, you could argue.
The thing is, too, Kirk always played the what if, because remember, he only went in, I think, one game during his true freshman year, and it burned his red shirt because the red shirt rule didn't even come into effect till the year after.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Wasn't it? It was some back. Oh, I think this. Who was it? See, Beathard, I think, got hurt.
Yeah, it was,
and had to go out for like
one series.
One series, and then they brought him in. He burned his red shirt on that, and I think a lot of people were just like,
"But what do you got? I don't know. Yeah, what's your better option? I don't know." So questions about quarterback. So at least from the outside, it seemed like a lot of fans, at least, were expecting there to be first string quarterback competition in like this fall practice. And at least from what I've read or kind of seen, it sounds like it's been more of a competition for second, like between Deuce and Alex. Is that kind of the case, and how big is the gap between 1 and 2 if that's kind of what it's morphed into?
This spring, I'd say it was a pretty open competition. I think Petrus had a grip on it, especially with the way he ended the season.
Backup,
right?
Backup quarterback.
Yeah, so I know, but I'm saying in the springtime, I think it was actually like there was a competition for, it was a competition to see if there actually would be a competition in fall camp.
But if you're a coach too, if you're Kirk Ferentz and you're going to address the media, you say, yeah, this guy's our starter. Like, I feel like that's just a weird thing to say. Like, how do you think backups would feel about that? I mean, keep in mind, like, you got to keep, it's
talented quarterback.
It's tough. That's tough love. Like, being a quarterback, being a highly touted recruit like Deuce Hogan, Alex Padilla, even, like, he had those offers after he got committed. Yeah. So, like, you got to keep, like, those guys, like, confident in some way. So I think it was more. I think it became more of like a backup quarterback competition. I think Padilla has that edge in that because based on the experience and how Kirk has always said. But I think I've always said in my mind, I think a lot of people agree with me that I think the ceiling is much higher for the offense with Deuce Hogan, but I think the floor is much higher with Padilla.
Yeah.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
I've been a big Deuce guy for a very long time.
Yeah.
He's got the best arm strength on the team, I think.
I love his leadership.
I mean, Petrus has the best arm strength.
As far as the combination, but Deuce Hogan's arm talent, I think at least the potential, it's the highest on the team.
I think you're going to get more Patty Mahomes type throws with Deuce Hogan in
That's
terms
true.
of being crafty than you are with Spencer Petrus, if that's what you're going for. Then again, I don't think he can move the way Mahomes can at all.
No.
But
I mean, that's what Deuce said during the media days. That my arm's paying for my scholarship, not my legs. I mean,
Is there any chance? I mean, who's all in the quarterback room right now? Like Petrus, Padilla,
Hogan, Joey Labus. They had a walk-on kid, Jack Sharp, who transferred, and then they had Connor Capsack. So it's the 4 scholarship guys.
Capsack transferred.
Well,
too.
I know he transferred. I said they had him.
Oh yeah, had him.
So they have the 4 scholarship guys: Petrus, Padilla, Hogan, Labus. Labus
he's a freshman.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think he's going to surprise people. I think he's going to be in the talks in a couple years. But I think one of the bigger position battles this fall, like throughout the whole season, I think Padilla and Hogan are going to battle it out, and that's how it should be.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it should be.
You prefer to have a backup quarterback competition as opposed to a starter.
Yeah, that's the thing too. It's like, you love competition, but I'm sure we'll talk about this later with the offensive line too. But you would love to have one guy solidify himself.
You want to know who your starter is without a doubt and have competition behind it. Or otherwise, if you're up in the air the whole year, it's not good for anybody.
I think it'll be Padilla for the first couple, 5 or 6 weeks, and then after that, it's going to be fair game.
I think you were talking about what the difference is between 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I think in the spring games it was very close. I think after what we watched, at least from what we watched in the fall scrimmage, it's night and day difference, I think, right now, at least from what we saw between Petrus and Padilla. Padilla really struggled. He came on strong in the second half of the scrimmage, but the difference in consistency between Petrus and the other quarterbacks was a mile away.
Okay. So is that difference because Petrus took a big step forward or the other guys kind of fell off?
I think it's a step forward. I think it's encouraging.
Yeah.
I think you have to take a more optimistic view about it because I think Kirk mentioned that Padilla, the last week of spring, really seemed to ascend. Deuce has kind of been more, I would say, steady
growth,
but not
it's not sharp. The trajectory level is just not what.
Yeah.
Because he even said too about Padilla that the second half of spring ball he really started to really grasp onto everything.
It was the last week, I think he said.
Yeah.
Was the last week.
So that's. I would say Peter's taking a step forward because I think specifically of a couple plays, he missed a couple overthrows over the middle, but what I liked, at least from what I saw, and it's tough to really take a lot of it away from the scrimmage because Petrus knows he's not going to get hit. It's a non-contact scrimmage. What happens when you have a 275-pound edge rusher and George Karlaftis in your face? Coming up behind you and just absolutely going to lay the hammer on you. Can you still make that? Can you stay in the pocket and make that throw?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Nate Stanley, excelled at, was staying in the pocket, taking a hit, and making a big throw.
Well, one of Nate Stanley's my favorite Nate Stanley
Ohio
plays
State
ever,
game?
where he had the guy wrapped around his leg and he threw a bullet
That
to
was
Hawk in
great.
the back. That's gutsiness.
I will say this about Petrus. The one play that really sticks in my mind, too, and I'm sure we'll talk about the freshman wide receivers in a little bit, but I think it was a 40-plus yard, about a 42-yard gain. It's so hard to get these yardage right in these scrimmages, but I thought he delivered a beautiful ball down the right sideline just out of reach of Riley Moss, who, again, I think is a very underappreciated corner on Iowa. I think he takes way too much flack. Just out of reach of Moss, right into the arms of Arlen Bruce, and it was a 40-plus yard gain. It was a perfect ball, and that was not a throw that we saw Petrus make a lot last year. Keep in mind that Petrus only had 3 30-plus yard completions last year.
I saw that stat today, and I was shocked. I knew that we weren't, huge, big play on offense, but to only have 3, 30-plus yard completions for the whole season was, shocking to me.
That's why it's a Nate Stanley. They go 8-0.
Yeah.
Let's think about 2 of the 30-yard completions. The one was Mir Smith-Marset in the Wisconsin game. Was there 2? There might have been 2.
I think there was 2 deep balls in that game.
But then what was the first one?
Was one of them Reganey? Or am I thinking wrong? Maybe I'm thinking wrong here.
I feel like one of them was Laporta.
I don't think Laporta got a 30-yard one.
I don't know. I might have to go back through the play log and think about that. But yeah, I came across that stat. I think Isaac Trotter, our 24/7 national team, put that stat in an article earlier today. But And I think that's where I think Petrus got most of criticism. Like the interceptions, obviously, are one thing. I think there were a very big number of throws that probably should have been picked off. I mean, there were a lot, at least one or two times a game where, you know, I could just imagine Iowa fans like looking away and cringing because they saw the throw and they saw like the double or triple coverage and they're like, man. And I think the big problem too with Petrus last year was he knew his safety valves, but that's the only place he'd keep his eyes. It was Goodson and it was Laporta, and that's where he keeps his eyes. Like Tyrone Tracy, I think, is one of the most talented wide receivers Iowa's had in the past decade. And I think he's going to show that this year. He had 14 catches for 154 yards last year, and that can't happen with that sort of skill set.
I think we only had, 7 passing touchdowns, I think, all year.
I think it was
9.
Yeah,
9 and 5.
9 and 5.
Still, that's
So
not
it was
18 rushing touchdowns.
back to the long receptions. Amir Smith-Marset had 2 of them, and then Tyler Goodson had 1.
It was Goodson.
Was that one like just
Michigan State game.
Was
I
that a
think.
catch and run, or was it like an actual long ball?
I think it was a catch and run. I think he had it against Michigan State.
that wasn't a very exciting game. What was it, 35-0 at half
No,
last year?
I will say
I was
that was the most.
pretty excited.
That was one of the most. I wrote this too. This is my post game column. That was one of the most important wins of the Kirk Ferentz era. Was that game? I think
absolutely. You start 0-3 after what happened all last offseason.
I think if they did start off 0-3, I think the whole. I don't want to say the program tanks, but there's a lot of things
you
that
lose a
are
lot of
in
buy-in,
question.
I think, at that point, right?
Yeah.
What are you playing for? You're 0-3. It's an 8-game COVID season. You know, no chance of winning the Big Ten. You know.
Yeah.
That game was just awesome, though, to just lay in the wood like that. Like, Iowa doesn't have that type of wins against Big Ten opponents very often.
Well, Michigan State was coming off that Michigan win too.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, obviously, like, Michigan State was not good last year.
Yeah.
But to just win in the way that they did, it was encouraging for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it definitely needed to happen, and definitely needed to win that game.
Say this though too. They averaged 32 points last year, something
the
like
highest
that.
since 2002.
Yeah, and they had 9 passing touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean that's crazy. I know. Again, it's only 8 games, so I don't want to take it with a grain of salt, but that's a little over 7 points a game coming through the air. I mean, that's pretty ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But,
especially modern college football.
Yeah, but last year it was more like literally all aspects of the special teams, defense. Like everybody was involved last year.
Yes.
I would argue the special teams was the best aspect of our team last year. I think.
I mean, defensive
That
line
defense
too,
is-
and
Yeah, the D line, secondary was good, but I mean, I don't think there was a single flaw you could point anywhere on our special teams unit.
yeah, I mean, when you have a guy like Terry Roberts who just has a nose for the ball like that, that was something special. And I mean, well, maybe kicking was a little bit like, I mean, I know as much as some people hate to say it, Keith Duncan was not.
Luke has a love affair with Keith.
I do love
Yeah, I know.
Duncan.
That's why I was like a little scared to mention.
Get out.
But I feel he had the expectations, which lowered people's thought of how his season was last year.
Well, it's the Miller Lite drinkers.
Yeah.
It's always the Miller Lite drinkers.
Sad.
I don't have I would love to see. I mean, obviously we want to focus on. Let's not get into that.
All right. So, what do we got for the biggest question mark coming up for this season? It could be coach,
I think
player.
this feels pretty
unit.
obvious around the board, right? It's defensive line,
Defensive line.
But
Is,
my concern with that, it feels like whenever it looks like we have a depleted defensive line,
Right.
there's always somebody that.
last year, I mean, prime example.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, Golston, Nixon, Van Valkenburg. It was. What do you got?
You do make Iowa tends to reload at positions better than what a lot of people anticipate. That's one of the great strengths of the program. But at the same time, it's not that difficult to look at this team and be like, defensive line is still the biggest. I don't know what we're going to get on this team.
Right.
You know what you're getting in all of, linebackers, defensive secondary, special teams, running back, quarterback play. You pretty much know, a couple spots in the offensive line that are maybe whatever. Defensive line kind of as a whole, there's a lot of parts that are going to have to come together to be a strong unit.
And I think you look back at last year's defensive line, you say, all right, yeah, Zach Van Valkenburg, that's a big question mark. No one really knew what he could do. You have Davion Nixon. The guy had an Alabama offer for a reason coming out of high school, but no one expected him to be the type of player that he was last year. Jack Hefflin was probably the Mac's best defensive tackle last year. And, you knew that he was going to, like, fill a role, clog lanes, and he did that, like, pretty well. Then you have Chauncey Golson, who just saw a steady increase of production throughout his career.
Yeah.
But the big question was, how is he going to manage no Epinesa on the other side?
Yeah, and you could say Golston was kind of just like covered up for a few years because, I mean, look who had, like,
Yeah.
the defensive line was fairly loaded for the most part, and then he got his time to shine. He really turned into, like, I mean, he's an NFL player, so.
Right.
Say about Nixon, though, too. I mean, obviously, nobody would have predicted a Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, but I think when you talk about years, and, Iowa's lost 3 defensive line stars over the past 3 years in each of the years. Everybody knew that Nixon. I think anybody that really pays close attention to Iowa football knew that Nixon was going to have some sort of big year.
Mm-hmm.
Again, maybe not to the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
But I
It was
really
insane last
Yeah.
year.
I really think he showed glimpses of that year before, and you saw if he got his conditioning right and he brought that motor every single play, you knew he had some big time potential. And then obviously, Iowa had Epinesa. Like, there's no, like, yeah, I think Y.A. Black could be a special player in the middle. One, he's got to stay healthy. 2, he's got to get the reps. I mean, he just has not had the reps yet. And a great defensive tackle always benefits from decent pass rushers on the edge and vice versa. That's why Kelvin Bell preaches versatility, doesn't like labeling guys as defensive tackles or defensive end or edge rushers because he wants them to learn every position to play defensive line. I mean, some of Davion Nixon's biggest plays last year were they switched him over the edge and then he mauled an offensive tackle or kind of around because they weren't ready for that. So I think if Joe Evans could turn into that pass rush specialist, and I think he showed some glimpses. I think we've seen what he can do. I'm interested. I think he has the second most snaps returning on that defensive line.
Yeah, he does.
does.
Actually.
Compared to Zach Van I think Zach Van Valkenburg's the only one that has more. And I'd like to see John Wagner take a step forward. I think Wagner came to Iowa with a lot of big-time offers. I think he showed some glimpses, and if he can really string together that motor and that consistency, they don't need double-digit sack guys. They need multiple 4.5 sack caliber guys and guys that can consistently bring pressure. And if they can do that, and if the defensive line can be slightly above average, I think you're looking at a very, very special Iowa defense because I think Jack Campbell is going to solidify himself as one of the best linebackers in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you mentioned Evans last week on the podcast.
Yeah, so I actually had some notes on him. So he has 189 career snaps, which is second most returning on the defensive line.
Career snaps, or is that from last year?
That's career snaps.
Really?
Yeah.
Joe Evans.
At Iowa.
Joe Evans?
Yeah.
I feel like it's more than that.
No.
Really?
Fact check.
Well, he had the red. Well, he had the red
check.
shirt. He had the red shirt, and then he was the rotational, and then the 8-game season.
I'm just thinking back to the Northwestern game, though, a couple years ago, where it felt like he was out there a decent amount.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, but what you were saying about how Iowa doesn't have to have, a double-digit sack guy, that's kind of what, that's how we try to build our defensive line anyway, 6 to 8 man rotation, every guy can, do their job well. It's nice when we have stars like Nixon and Epinesa, but that's not kind of what they're trying to build the room around. So that's why
Bad radio.
Yeah, that's why part of the defensive line is why it's so much of a question still, because you have to replace 3 starters, but then also who are your depth guys going to be behind the new starters that are coming in?
And, that's valid too, because I think that's why Logan Jones being out for at least the first couple games of the season or most of the season is going to hurt them on the interior. And then you got guys like Lucas Van Ness, who came in as, a high school hockey player and 230 pounds. And now he's at 270, really looks beefed up. You have, who else am I missing? You got Noah Shannon, Lucas Van Ness.
I have the depth chart pulled up here. I can get it.
I should not be forgetting.
Louis Stack.
Louis Stack, he's
we'll see.
Isaiah Bruce, I think, is more likely to play than him.
Yeah.
They got talent on the defensive line. Having a true freshman like Max Llewellyn, the kid from Urbandale.
Deontay Craig, too.
Deontay Craig, yeah, he could slide inside if he needs to. I think he could factor in on the interior, which is really, really intriguing. I know Kelvin Bell is super high on him. It's got talent, but as Kirk said, it's just young.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an experience, and that the way he said it at Kids Day was kind of like, yeah, like we're young. Like I know we have talent, but we're just like, I know we're inexperienced.
Yeah.
And you know that's enough, like not to be concerned, but just like
you can't simulate in-game reps.
Right.
I mean, you can only do so much in practice till a guy gets out there and you know who can really hang and who needs more
But
time.
Hopefully, the secondary and the linebacking core can kind of timid while the experience comes.
I think Justin Jacobs could be a huge. I think he could be an X factor for this
I saw
team.
that he had an 11-foot broad jump.
Yeah.
So
He's a freak athletically.
yes, from what I've been reading, and once again, I'm sure you guys can speak more towards it. It sounds like he's quick enough to kind of like to be able to cover like in pass coverage. So then Iowa, it gives them a lot more flexibility to play from 3-4 or the 4-2-5 because he can kind of. I'm not going to say that he can play the cash position because he's not, like I'm guessing he's not that quick, but he's good enough so that like if we have to revert to a 4-3 because of injuries or whatever, we're not going to see much of a drop off in terms of our pass coverage.
I mean, it's
because
depending on who they play though too. I mean, that's the big part. I mean, when they play against quicker receivers, like the reason why they switched to 4-2-5 in the first place was Wisconsin. I think Danny Davis torched them one year, and then they had KJ Hamler from Penn State torch him because they had a linebacker covering him, and that's just not fair.
Nick Neiman.
Yeah, they had Nick Neiman covering him, and that's a pro linebacker.
But you know, you're not going to have Nick Neiman, kid from Sycamore, Illinois, guarding KJ Hamler, who no offense, I mean Nick Neiman's going to make. I think he'll have a successful on a career, but I'd rather have Justin Jacobs guarding KJ Hamler.
I think the big thing for me is I think I need to see more from Justin in pass coverage because even when you evaluate his high school film, and he was an All-American linebacker, remember that.
195 pounds.
He was 195 pounds, but he specialized at blitzing. He was a blitzer. He was a great guy that could get to the quarterback. He could stop the running back from behind the line of scrimmage, and that's where I think Phil Parker could get creative with like a Raider package. They could throw Justin in as a stand-up D end. I mean, there's different things I think you can do with him because he's up to what 242 pounds.
Like 243 or something like that.
He's 45, 48 pounds since he got on campus.
236, I think is the exact number.
45 pounds since he got on campus, and he's kept that same speed and athleticism from everything that we've been hearing from the coaches and from sources. And I think that if he can prove to be that sort of pass coverage guy, I think you really have a hard time debating between just to go with the 4-2-5 or the 4-3 because at the same time you really want to find a way to keep Dane Belton on the field because Dane Belton's one of the biggest X factors of this team as well.
How are you taking anybody out of our starting secondary to put somebody else on the field?
That's what's so. Oh no, keep going.
I was just gonna say, and then you add, like, you factor in the fact that we're adding Xavier Williams as a, two-time first-team All-Conference Missouri Valley to like add on to the defense that's already absolutely loaded. Mm-hmm. How do you take guys off the field when I don't know?
That was one of my. I got a question from somebody they sent me, and they said, "How does the secondary time play out?"
Well, even like Xavier Williams, man, like you take into account Terry Roberts now too. Like I think Kirk has become like a Terry Roberts. I don't know how to say this word. Connoisseur. Yeah. A Terry Roberts connoisseur. Yes. He has become like just how he's talked about like special teams, saying like we've had guys that have made an impact on special teams that have been on that route to becoming, like a heck of defensive player. And you saw that in the fall camp game too. Like he was the best player. He was the best defensive player in the field.
Really?
Yeah.
2 picks.
Couple
one
of
them they called back. That was a pick though from
couple pass breakups. He was phenomenal. And Xavier Williams as well. He's a freak. The thing that hurt him was injuries. Came in with I couldn't tell you the exact injury, but it was something he needed to get cleaned up, and he got it cleaned up, he got it fixed. But spring ball, that's huge.
Yeah.
For anyone, so that kind of set him back a bit. But athletically, he brings a lot to the table. I would love to see him factor in on special teams. Personally, I'd like to see him a couple reps, maybe at corner, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
We're very talented.
It's a good problem to have.
Right. Yeah.
But it's like, what do you do with all this talent?
You have to keep Jack Kerner on the field at all times with what his resume. Have to keep Matt Hankins, I think, at all times. Yeah. I think if anything, you switch around Riley Moss, but I think Riley Moss has the tools that you want in a cornerback, and he has so much experience too.
What's he been a starter for Is this
3
his
years?
3 years?
Yeah.
This is-
Well, he started against Minnesota his
Yeah.
freshman year. if
Yeah,
I'm
and
not
that's
mistaken.
what he gets a bad rap for that because he had a bad game in that Minnesota game.
No, he had the bad.
And
No, he had the
Purdue.
bad game against the Purdue
Yeah,
game.
he
Was
had
it?
a
Oh,
Everybody,
yeah.
everybody had a
Yeah,
bad
you're
game
right,
against
you're
that Purdue team.
Yeah.
Minnesota's the team that he has like all of his
Four of
career
his-
interceptions
four of his
against.
six
You're right.
picks.
You're right. I had those mixed up, but yeah, everybody. Riley Moss is good, but people still just think of hitting like back to that game his freshman year
Exactly,
when he
yeah.
got cooked, and they're like, oh well, he can't be good, but like he's a 3-year starter for a reason. Like,
Do people not remember how bad Desmond King got cooked his freshman year? Literally every single game. And I'm not comparing the two, but like for
Yeah.
example, I mean it depends how you bounce back from that. And like again, because Riley doesn't make a lot of the flashy plays, people only remember the bad thing. Like Desmond was, I thought, horrible his freshman year, but then you obviously saw what he turned into. But because of all of his picks and because of all his flashy plays, everybody forgot about the freshman year that he
Yeah.
had.
Yeah, and cornerback, it is like such a. I mean, it's tough to judge constantly because you
Right.
can even look at the NFL. Like 1 year, somebody's really good. Like what happened to Josh Norman? Like it just flips the switch like that.
yeah,
so quick.
well, and it's just like if you're doing your job really well as a cornerback, like people don't recognize it that much, but as soon as you get beat like 2 or 3 times, it's the only thing somebody like sees about what
Yeah,
you're doing.
It's like it's the most thankless position outside the offensive line, I
Yeah.
would say.
I would like to personally apologize
Oh,
to
boy.
a former Iowa cornerback.
Ooh, I
named
think I might-
Greg Maven.
I thought you were gonna go there.
Say Greg Maven.
I could not stand Greg Maven at all, but looking back on it,
He was matched, you know.
He-
Desmond King was on the other side of the
side,
field,
yeah.
so like obviously people were not picking on Desmond King. So
and Maven was in the NFL for a short while. I don't know if he still is.
I think he still is in the NFL.
He was with the Niners, I know, for a
He
short
was
while.
waived for a while. Oh, he's on the roster. I think he got waived. I can't remember if he's still on that.
Yeah, but Greg,
Yeah.
I doubt you're listening. If you're listening, I'm really sorry.
I'll say this though too. I'm a big Kayvon Merriweather fan.
Oh yeah.
Like I think Kayvon has
I'd hope
very,
so.
very high potential as far as the safety. I mean, again, you look at the experienced secondary. Again, you talk about who are you going to take off the field to throw in Williams. I don't think you can't take off Belton. You
Yeah.
can't take off Hankins. I mean, you can't take off anybody because I think Merriweather is one of my 4 breakout picks for the year about
Yeah.
guys who I really think have a chance to be special because athletically, Merriweather is one of the most athletic safeties Iowa's had in a long time. He's an absolute freak.
yeah, well, and all the depth is like it's a good thing because the fact of the matter is injuries are going to happen in football. Like somebody's just going to have to step up at some point. It's not realistic to think that all 5
Yeah,
secondary
exactly.
players are going to play every snap this season. Like
Yep.
somebody's going to go down at some point, but that just speaks to the volume of talent that we have behind them that we have to talk about. How do you get these guys enough playing time as opposed to I hope that a guy doesn't go down.
Yeah.
But all right, we can move on now. Who's the one player you're looking forward to most? Because you guys need some time to think of it, or you just
Go for it if you're ready.
This one's kind of going to be a little bit of an interesting one. Ivory Kelly Martin.
Man,
Okay.
he's the.
Yeah.
I've been saying he's the Jordan Bohannon of the football team. He's been here forever.
He has been around for a while.
I played. Well, I didn't play football, but our high schools played against each other, and he absolutely burned us junior and senior year.
See, I have a bad taste in my mouth with him because I only have one play distinctly grilled in my mind, and it was against Northwestern in 2018. He had a fumble. It was a freezing cold night,
I
and
knew
he
you
was
were
wearing
gonna-
sleeves, and it was just. Man, I hate losing to Northwestern, and that play is just grilled right here.
Well, what was the thing that Northwestern posted the other day? It's like, we do lose like 14 stars, but we have Pat Fitzgerald.
That's true.
Did you see that? Did you see
I didn't
that?
see it, but
Oh
I
my
think
God,
I
let me
do
see
think
Oh, I
he's-
didn't see
That's
that either.
funny.
I think he's one of the best coaches in the league.
Oh, he
Yeah.
deserves
Oh,
so
yeah.
much more credit than what he gets to keeping Northwestern
Relevant.
as relevant as they are. Because
Yeah.
it's got to be, first of all, just like the academic standards to get guys into Northwestern has got to be tough. And just
Yep.
like as a destination, I know that they have that incredible new complex along Lake Michigan, but I've been to Ryan Field.
It's
That place is an
fucking
absolute dump.
It's not good.
It's got to be.
It's not good.
It's got to be a tough sell to get guys to buy into that program the way that he's able to.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, you could say the same thing about Illinois. I mean,
Well-
I've been to Illinois.
See, I like their stadium. I think it's unique.
I do, but I'm saying there's
Okay.
there's just no fan base.
The
there.
thing, the beef it had. Oh, here it is.
The thing is, though, it's like the thing is, I think with Brett Bielema, and we won't go down this road too much, but like I think Brett Bielema, people can say whatever they want about his Arkansas tenure. The guy is he was a former Big Ten player. He knows how to win the Big Ten, and he knows how to recruit Big Ten caliber players. Like he's gonna do decent at Illinois, I'm sure. And especially because the effort and the commitment he's putting into his, I won't say home state. And actually getting Illinois guys on campus and trying to recruit them. That was Lovey's downfalls. He couldn't keep any of the talented kids in the state, and Illinois is absolutely loaded with high school talent.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at Iowa's roster even. I mean, there's several.
Sam Laporta.
Yeah, like, they're from Illinois, but... Sorry, we're outside right now, so you can probably hear all the cicadas and the ambulance that's going by. We're right on Melrose, so...
We live pretty close
to
the
first ambulance we've gotten.
I think it's a fire truck, actually.
Okay.
What's the difference? Somebody's house is burning. They might be dying also.
pour one out. So, David, who's your guy?
Sean, think of a defense. Let's go one on offense, one defense, because I can't decide between my two.
I think...
you got one defense already?
I think Dane Belton could be there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You've liked Belton for a while, though. Like a long while, I think. Haven't you? I thought you mentioned him a year or two ago on our podcast.
I might have.
Yeah, but...
I'll say for offense, I'm going to go with Tyrone Tracy. Because I think Tyler Goodson's a very close second. Because I think Tyler Goodson, for his... he's an all Big Ten first-team running back, but guess who everybody talks about? They talk about Mohamed Ibrahim from Minnesota. I think Goodson's one of the most underrated and underappreciated backs. I don't think that's going to be the case at the end of the year. But Tyrone Tracy, I said earlier, I think Tyrone Tracy is, as far as an overall skill set wise, I think he's one of the most talented wide receivers that Iowa's had in quite some time. If they can find a way to keep him involved in the offense, and if he can sort of keep that confident persona, because he admitted last year, like he had his head down and he was getting pissed off because he wasn't getting the ball. And granted, rightfully so to some extent, because if you look at his redshirt freshman year, and 36 grabs. Remember Brandon Smith was out for 4 games. He took over the starting X spot, and he was dynamic from there. He had the big Wisconsin play that nearly tied the game. If the referee wasn't in the way, Iowa probably ties that game.
And I read that catch and run at Northwestern also.
That same year. I mean, we won that game like 17-0 or whatever. So it's not like we had a huge amount of points, and we were at that game actually. That's why we know Ryan Fields a dunk.
I was there too, and they had like the three guys on them.
Spun out.
Beat the guy to the boundary on the other side. And,
that was a hell of a play.
Yeah.
So I'll say this though too. I think the league is absolutely loaded with wide receiver talent. Ohio State's absurd. David Bell.
Well, I mean, David Bell fries us. Like, he's our dad.
He's the reason.
He is. He kills us every time.
He's the reason why they beat Iowa. Single-handedly the reason.
Purdue is just Phil Parker's kryptonite. Like, for as great as he is all the time, Purdue just has his number. I don't know what it is.
Plus, think about Purdue, too, like, the way they've downward since Jeff Brown, like, the first 2 years that he had, and since then. But Iowa, can't seem to find a way to get to him.
I think that Tracy has the potential, if all the stars align. I think he could be Iowa's first all Big Ten wide receiver since 2011. Maybe not. If it's not this year, it's going to be next year, because I think he's a big play machine. He's fast. He's strong. I still think he has to clean up the drops. I think we've seen that a couple times throughout his first couple of years. But the potential's there.
So he reminds me a lot of ISM. But do you remember ISM's freshman year, or his first year playing?
Yeah.
He dropped a ton of passes.
Well, he admitted it's because he got cocky after the Iowa State game when he caught the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah.
he admitted, he said, I got in my own head, and that was too egotistical.
One of the best games I've ever seen.
That was great.
Do you want to pick a defender too, or?
Defender, I really think Kayvon Merriweather, if he can stay healthy, because obviously the good news I think for Iowa is that it did not look good in that fall scrimmage when he went down. I thought, at least from even other reporters I was talking to, we kind of we speculated it was a broken, we thought something broken. It was collarbone or something. It did not look good. But he came back out of uniform, he was stretching it, and then Kirk said, it's a good. And I think he's been the practice photos this week. So that's, I think, a big sigh of relief. I'm really excited about Kayvon Merriweather, though, and I think if he can stay healthy, just Iowa having that sort of athleticism and that sort of hard hitting, he could be an X factor in that secondary. But you could almost go down the line and say who's going to be
Right.
the X factor for the secondary
Yeah.
because of just how much
Yeah.
talent there is there.
Sten?
Okay. I don't know. I feel like an easy answer is just say like Keegan Johnson or Arlen Bruce.
Right.
Just like everything that I've read about the both. Like first of all, early in the year it was Keegan Johnson was like he was impressed and he was going to be the guy, and then all of a sudden it sounds like Arlen Bruce is like on that same kind of just like rocket ship trajectory. So I think one of those guys is going to be really good. Iowa doesn't have true freshmen that see the field that often, especially in like skill positions. So if one of them can break out, that would just be really fun to watch, I think.
But we're thin at wide receiver, kind of. Like, I mean, we lost Smith and Smith-Marset, obviously, but
See, I think it's like the defensive line a little bit, where you have like some inexperienced guys. Like I think Nico, Charlie, Jones, and Tyrone's a really good trio to have, and I think Keegan's gonna step in and maybe be like the number 2 or even number 3 receiver this year. And then you got some like inexperienced younger guys too that I think are gonna be like, I think Deontay Vines is gonna be a pretty good player in due time. I would love to see someone step up at that X position, like Desmond Hudson, Jackson Ritter, Brody Brecht in due time. I think will be the guy for that. There's options in the future, but I think this year, I think it's fair to say it's a little bit thin.
We talked about Petrus going through the 30-plus days of quarantine. I mean, Desmond Hudson last year had 3 separate times he was quarantined for over 2 weeks early in the season.
yeah.
I mean,
well, that blows.
And remember when Kirk was hyping up Desmond his true freshman year at the Big Ten Network practice, and it's just like where is he? But
he's been hurt in quarantine.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I feel like Sean and I have been almost driving that Keegan Johnson train, just because I really think Keegan. The thing about Keegan that's so impressive, and I think the reason why he fits so well with the Iowa program, why I think he could emerge as number 2 or number 3 option, I think by the end of the year. Like I think he's that good. I think the maturity level that he has comes from a big-time football family. He knows how to succeed at that level. He knows what it takes. He's so serious-natured. I mean, Kirk and Kelton both said, like, they struggled to get him out of his shell for, like, the first 4 months because they couldn't even get him to smile because that's just how serious he took his business. He's added on, I think, a lot of good strength. I think we saw his route running. That was one of my big question marks was his route running. His straight line speed and route running. I think his hands are there. His route running looked pretty crisp, I thought, in the fall scrimmage. I think he might not be the guy that's a top 2 or top 3 receiver as far as receptions this year. I do think Keegan could be a guy that really makes a difference in 1 or 2 games this year from big plays. And Arlen Bruce, man, I mean,
If you
a 24/7 got right. They gave him a 4th star late in the process, and I think he's done that, and I think he's earned that. And I think there's no receiver on Iowa's roster that has the skill set or like the unique style of play as Arlen does on the field.
If you don't know who Arlen Bruce is, you should go check out the state championship game from this past year. What do you have? The game-winning touchdown and interception?
No, that
That was in the
was a
semifinals.
semifinal against
Semifinals.
Dowling.
They
But either way.
rolled Southeast. He had a play where in the state championship, and look, every player has bad reps. I mean, Xavier Williams was a 5-star safety for a reason. Arlen,
Cooked him.
Yeah.
he beat him. He beat him.
I saw X the other day and I mentioned it to him and he like is still like
Still sits in the
distraught
back
about
of
it.
his
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah,
He's forgotten about it, but like he's like, yeah, I know.
I'm not sure I've ever been excited for 2 freshman wide receivers like this before.
They're both going to play.
I think Brody Brecht eventually too is going to be
Okay,
very
here's
talented.
my question about him though. How long will he actually be here? Because he plays baseball too.
Well, if you go to college for baseball, you have to play at least, I think it's 3 years.
3 years.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's the way the MLB
So that's
works.
why it was such a big deal that he decided.
to come to college.
Yeah.
That's why you don't see that's why when you see high school prospects get drafted, they're either high school prospects or they're always juniors.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And even if Brody gets drafted after his junior year, I think he's gonna face that same sort of dilemma unless he gets like first round money. I don't think
Yeah,
it's just
well,
it's the way the kid's wired.
Well,
and the
and-
reality is too with NIL, if he can actually earn his way onto the field in the next couple of years as a football player, especially given his story and his dual sport, he's gonna be one of the more known athletes I think around Iowa
well, and
as far as
let's-
drawability and
yeah.
marketability.
it doesn't take a genius to figure out, like, if you have a choice, or maybe not a choice, but a decision to make between, like, football or baseball when you're talking about, like, potential professional career or just making money off it, like, MLB is so bad at, like, getting their players out there as opposed to the NFL. Like, the NFL is king when it comes to, like, just football is king when it comes to sports in the United States. Like, there's more opportunity there than I think there is in baseball. Not to say that, like, he could be, you know...
Agree. I mean, you can point out 95% people can point out Mike Trout. They saw him in a mall. But, like, that's why I think the MLB is trying to rejuvenate it with, Ohtani. But it takes that sort of talent to be able to actually market your athletes.
So I don't know. I was told that Ohtani can't be the face of baseball
because because he can't speak
from
English.
The guy who makes $10 million from ESPN
for yelling.
Oh my God. I hate ESPN. Let's not start on that.
We would be here for another couple hours if we got on that train.
I genuinely cannot stand them anymore.
You a Skip Bayless guy?
Oh, God, no. As we mentioned, this was actually mentioned last week, Uncle Dan Patrick's the only guy for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's the best. But
he makes cameos.
Shannon not so sharp, as I like to call him.
I don't know how...
Skip.
So many of those analysts and TV personalities are just the absolute worst. Like, honestly, Colin Cowherd, I'll flip him on. Like, I don't mind him. He says a lot of ridiculous shit, but it's like...
But
I know
that they're in the hot takes business. They're not out there to be like reporters to give you a good, like, they're out there because they say something crazy, and then, you know, me and you are here talking about it, you know.
All right. So
yeah, we don't. That's a totally different topic.
I had to say down that road.
You just tipped me. We didn't even get
You're
there.
welcome.
We didn't even get there.
That's what I do.
But
that's what vultures do.
Yeah, that's what not real journalists do. But yeah. So I haven't given mine yet, but. I mean, we were just talking about freshmen. If you have no idea about any of the freshmen on this Iowa team, you should absolutely go look them up because there's
top 25 recruiting class.
It'll be a very good recruiting class.
But
since we're just talking about freshmen, maybe I'm going to steal your thunder here a little bit. I don't know, but it's somebody that pops into my.
Can I just get my person out quick?
Sure.
Go.
It was Tyrone Tracy for the third year in a row for me. I've been on him. I'm not kidding. I've been on him for 3 years. I do love him because.
I was surprised they redshirted him his first year because I really thought he could have went in there and did some damage.
Yeah.
Not that he was ready, but like just for what the room needed, they needed him.
You talk about his big playability. Right. I mean, he has experience now too. He was behind a couple of good wide receivers. His numbers in 2019 were really good. You can only think he could expand on that. And now he's the head in the room. All right, Stin, you can take it.
Okay. So we were just talking about freshmen or whatever. How does like Cooper DeJean factor into this year's team? Is it, just a special teams role? Does he maybe sneak in somewhere? He's so athletic that it seems like he will find a spot somewhere.
Special teams, I think, is where he could make an impact. I think safety, we got to give him a little bit of time. I haven't heard too much about how he's fared. I know he had a couple nice plays in the fall camp. But I think in due time, he'll be a really good player. I mean, you look at the athleticism, and, I know the knock on him is, like, Class A, Class 1A football.
Chad Greenway played 8-man. Like,
right.
If you're good, you're good.
It
doesn't matter.
That's what I'm saying, too.
Against.
And, like, I talked to him a decent amount, or, like, a good amount throughout his recruitment. He said that, a couple big schools hit him up here and there. I think Oregon was one of them that was like, hey, like, do you have any interest? Or I don't know if Oklahoma was maybe another one that, like, mentioned it. Virginia wanted him as a quarterback, and it's like, yeah, Virginia, it's kind of not necessarily a super relevant ACC program, but, the quarterback there, they rely on speed. And, if you're getting recruited as a quarterback and a safety, like, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And I think the big knock on him was, he didn't play the best of competition, but I think just the way he dominated that level, like, you have to look at that and be like, oh, my God.
Even if you didn't watch his football tape, you could watch his basketball highlights or his track highlights.
Yeah.
I don't really care
about
track.
That's exactly why 24/7 put him as a 4-star. It's because he was a multi-sport athlete like that.
Unreal to watch.
It was insane. Yeah. Just the explosiveness, the power, like, just how he was able to get off the ground, everything.
Did he break the state record for long jump this year? He
won state. I don't know if he broke the record.
Yeah, but
I can't remember if he broke the record, but Cooper, here's the thing, I don't know where you set him in as like on defense. You just, again, we talk about the safety, the depth of everything. I think he has a chance to be the next starting safety after like next year if
Yeah,
he can
give
really
him a-
learn the
give him a year or
system.
two.
He needs to put on muscle. He has to put on mass though as well. Like for as athletic as he is and for as great of a football player as he is, two things have to work against him. One, I do believe 8-man football and 1A football, there are D1 and high power 5 players. Like that's a fact. But there still has to be the time to transition from that to actual Big Ten football. So I think he can do that, and if he can put on I think 10, 15 pounds of muscle, and if he can keep the same speed, I think he's going to be in a really, really good spot.
I don't know if he needs 10 to 15 because he's already 203, 204,
Does not look it.
but he is it.
numbers don't lie, David.
Don't look it. You don't look it.
I don't know. If you've ever seen him up close and stand like next to him, like he is physically impressive. He is very like okay, maybe he can add like maybe a few pounds, but like
Switch the weight.
I don't think the weight's gonna be the biggest issue. I think it might just be a reality check once he gets started.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, dude, you're an All-American from small town Iowa. Like Cooper's as good as kid, humble, like
yeah, he is.
kid as it gets, but it's different. It's a whole different beast playing in the Big Ten.
Doesn't everybody put on a few pounds though in the Iowa program? Pretty much though, like it will happen.
It's been very interesting though watching this year, just what they've been doing with the players' weights, because I think this year there's only 2 or 3 players that are over 300 pounds this year, and that's
Jeremiah Pittman, true freshman defensive lineman, came in at like 304.
Yeah,
Jesus.
But he like just looks like
he looks like a pro player physically. Like that's.
I mean,
you talk
on
about
the
a big
field,
dude.
on the field, he looked like definitely had a little bit of chunk to him.
Yeah.
Some baby fat still.
Yeah, a little bit. I've seen him up close multiple times because he's from around me back in Illinois. He like just started doing like back exercises this year, so like his posture is better and just the way he looks is just better. But I mean, I think the most like guys that put on the most weights were 2 rising redshirt freshmen defensive backs, Brendan Diaz-Fernandez and AJ Lawson.
Yeah, they definitely had to though. I mean, they were.
Right.
I think AJ Lawson was 155 coming out of high school. Like
No, he wasn't that.
was
light.
Brendan that? One of them was like 160,
168, 170 around there.
something like that.
All right, we have 2 other things to talk about before we hit a break. Loving everything that's going
How
on.
long has this
we hit a break?
podcast been?
It's been an hour. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow.
Usually we're around probably 50 to an hour
I think
20.
usually, like an hour is usually what we
Yeah,
average.
but no, that's
it's
perfectly fine.
football
Hey,
season
yeah,
preview.
It's football season.
Lots to
First
talk
time in
about.
2 years.
I should have
Get
brought more.
excited,
I
Sean.
should have brought
Son
more.
of a
I should have
bitch.
brought more beer.
There's a couple Miller Lights straggling in the tailgating fridge in there if you need one. I
The
think
ones that are 2 years old.
Hey, alcohol just gets better with age. That's what I've been
That's
told.
true.
Yeah. So,
it's Miller Light.
You're still in college. You're not that classy yet.
It's Miller Light. It can't get that much worse.
Sean, are you
Like,
even 21 yet? I feel
Yeah.
like at this point you're like,
Jesus, Luke, what are you trying to do to us?
20 ounce.
I've known Sean since he was like 7, or I've
Eight, seven,
interacted
freshman
with
year.
Sean.
Freshman year.
Yeah, at least I'd say.
Freshman year, yeah, 18.
Yeah, he was 18, so that's good. But
At least he wasn't 7.
Whoa, okay, okay.
no, do you guys want to touch on the conference realignment shit? Because there was just the report on Friday that said the Big Ten, ACC, and the Pac-12 are going to have a alliance, whatever that means.
I think from what I've been told about that and what I've read about it is I don't think that's really going to have much to do with scheduling and stuff. I think there will be down the line opportunities for that, but that's more so going to be in when decisions are being made across conferences. Those 3 are going to vote together just to basically say, screw you, SEC.
Oh, okay.
That
So
makes
it was like a couple of
They're
things.
not forming one mega conference
Well, no,
between like...
that's not what I was going for. I was thinking like, so the Big Ten, maybe you get rid of your non-con and then you play 2 and 1
Well,
every year and just alternate.
I need to fact check this, but from what I've been told, or at least from what I can remember, I think the Iowa State contract is done after 2023 or 2024. If that's the case, Iowa, I think, should dump them. And I think, especially because Big 12 is going to cease to exist, and if Iowa State can't land a major conference, you dump them and you go after one of the ACC teams, you go after an SEC team, you go after a Pac-12 team.
Yeah.
Because, and I'll say this too, I know Iowa State's going to want this. I mean, I think they're going to try get in the Big Ten. The worst thing to happen to Iowa would be Iowa State getting in the Big Ten. For more, not just from the rivalry aspect, as far as revenue goes, as far as recruiting goes.
Yeah.
It's just more competition. It's just more unnecessary stress. There's a lot of things that would be really, really... Like, Iowa's going to be strongly opposed to adding Iowa State.
Yeah, well, especially, I think recruiting especially because, like, obviously the Big Ten and Big 12 play very different styles of football, but in terms of, like, how Iowa State plays in the Big 12, it's like the closest to Big 10 that you can be. Like, it's run the ball, solid defense. Like, they're not air raid. They're not, let's, score 55 and only give up 50. Like, they'd be trying to get the exact same players that Iowa would be trying to get, but now they'd be, hypothetically, they'd be playing in the same conference.
And you've seen it in the last couple of recruiting cycles, too. I mean, Iowa State, believe it or not, like, based on past results, has beaten out Iowa for a couple of recruits. And you got fans asking, like, why is this, why that? And, like, yeah, like, Iowa State, like, that's a sexy program right now to a lot of people. Like,
Matt Campbell's health coach.
Matt Campbell, the way that, the young coaches like Nathan Shieldhouse, like, that guy was probably one of my favorite college players of all time when he played at Illinois. And, like, the program, too, like, you can make the Iowa City to Ames argument. It's like, people want to go to a place where, you're going to be on a national stage. I'm not saying the Big Ten is not going to be that, but the Big 12, just like, I know it's falling apart, but that's an appealing style of play to a lot of people. I think so.
Well, it showcases talent.
It's more fun.
Exactly.
It's more fun for the casual fan because you're just seeing points be put on the board, as opposed to if you turn on like TCU West Virginia, you're probably going to see like 80 total points. If you turn on like Wisconsin Northwestern, you might see 40 total.
Yeah.
What I'll say is, go ahead.
And there are recruits that like the sexy part of like a program. Like Iowa State, like, yeah, they produce guys, but there's definitely a lot of hype about that program. And recruits like that. Recruits want to be a part of that. But also there's like Iowa who, yeah, like there's hype about the program, but who has been more on like who's been more talked about from national pundits?
Right.
Iowa State, and it's not even close. Who has a coach in Matt Campbell who could be a potential NFL guy in a few years?
He will be.
Matt Campbell.
Unless Notre Dame opens up. If Notre Dame opens up, he'll go to Notre Dame.
So,
breaking news.
So Matt Campbell's like, he's obviously a lot younger than Kirk. He's kind of like the sexy name in college football right now.
Right.
I've seen some people saying it. I don't know how much stock to put into it. Like, does it hurt Iowa on the recruiting trail because of what Kirk's age is?
You're more really quick, free hands. I want to make one last point about Iowa State going to the Big Ten. Is as far as it being bad, is it wouldn't make sense for the Big Ten to actually put them on because I don't know what new audience they're really bringing. And I think that's something that's going to be working against them. And it's just like people talk about maybe Kansas getting into the Big Ten as well. That's stupid because Kansas literally right now has a very, very small football fan base. They'd be taking a cut of the revenue while generating literally little to none in the grand scheme of things. Like, yeah, they have a good basketball program. When you actually take the money into account of how much basketball generates, even the most successful basketball programs, they're still very minimal compared to what even bad Power 5 programs
Lance
generate.
Leopold, the new Kansas coach, strikes me as a guy that wants to make Kansas into an Iowa-type program.
Yeah.
Model consistent. I mean, you see Brett Bielema I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but he's kind of making it the same way with Iowa, with Illinois. But back to Iowa State, you mentioned the Kirk's age question. I think it applies for some people, but I feel like it's more just like Iowa State being an up-and-coming program, and people want to be a part of that. I think that's partly what it is. I know a couple guys before, like Iowa State was the first offer for these kids, and that really appeals to them. I know that happened in the 2020 cycle with the running back from Arizona, Eli Sanders, who was down to Iowa State. Iowa made it close at the end, but Iowa State sold them on like, hey, Breece Hall. Like that's big time.
Yep.
I think Iowa does a good job of selling like who they could be, but I also think who they could be, like former players or like current players. But you don't hear that as much with Iowa as you do with some of these other programs, like comparing guys. I think it's brought up, but it's more like, okay, we see you being like this, not necessarily this player, but this is how we see you fitting. Like, you have to understand that, you're not, unless you're an absolute stud, you're not going to come in right away and contribute. And I'm not saying Iowa State, like, sells kids the wrong way, but I think there's a certain appeal to a lot of these recruits of, like, I can join something, like, pretty dang cool that's coming up. And, I think a lot of people have had.
But how do you sell that now? Because you can't say where the future is of the conference. Like,
that's the $1 million question too with this. That's where it's kind of tough.
Yeah.
I haven't heard too much. I was actually going to talk to our Iowa State guy about that. I should have talked to him a little more about it, but I think that's a very interesting question, because I think that's where it's going to set them, and that's why I think Iowa State's so, I don't want to say desperate, but so, like, wanting to go to the Big Ten.
Yeah. I went on a rant last week about Iowa State fans, but because, David,
I was to say, the thing, too, that about Kirk and the age question is that Kirk has said he's pretty forthright about it, and he tries to take the approach that he's going to mention it to them before they mention it, like, to him, vice versa.
But wouldn't you, does he ever say, like, I would imagine the next hire is going to be one of the current coaches, like the assistants?
That's, I think, the $1 million question. I don't know how many kids actually will ask that.
Yeah.
And
I've had recruits ask me about it, like, a couple times, and I've kind of just said, like, I don't know.
Your guess is good.
Yeah, your guess is good. Mine. I wish I knew, but
I feel like the prevalent thought among the fan base, whether or not it's grounded in reality or not, is that whenever Kirk decides to call it quits, Brian will just kind of assume the mantle.
But I think that's changed since
Not anymore.
last year. Yeah.
I think so too.
So
I will say this, though. I don't know if this is the case. This could be a very much tinfoil hat theory. The reality is winning cures everything in sports, whether it be for the good or bad reasons. I mean, that's just the landscape that we live in, right? If Iowa goes to, let's say they go to a Rose Bowl. Let's say they win multiple Big Ten West titles over the next 4 or 5 years, because I think Kirk has solid 4 or 5 years left still.
Yeah.
I do. Well, if Brian's offenses are consistently ranked in top 30, top 35, top 40, they win a couple Big Ten West titles, who's going to argue against Brian? Again, I know how they're going to argue it, but fast forward from that point in time, I think there's going to be a very, very legitimate case of people saying that Brian Ferentz should be the next Iowa head coach. Will that happen? I don't know. I think it's also going to depend on who's the athletic director and what their approach to everything is, because who knows how many years Barta still has left.
We could do a whole nother podcast on that.
Yeah,
oh
we
my
could.
God.
So, but again, I think that's something to at least keep into account. And I think I also think Kirk feels pressure to stay longer, just because he wants his legacy a bit more repaired than all the stuff that happened after last year.
Yeah, but you mentioned the winning cures everything. I mean, you look the last 3 full seasons: 8 wins, bowl win; 9 wins, bowl win; 10 wins, bowl win. So, like, the winning's been there of late.
Yeah.
Prior to last year, they had the most wins in a 5-year span, school history. I think it was 48, and I think that's 10th. Or that was I think I was 12th in the country in the 5-year span.
So, yeah. But, what else did I have here before we hit the break? Oh, the one bold prediction. So, you want me to run down some of last year's bold predictions? Because let me tell you.
They were pretty off the cuff.
So
we were very excited for football season when these started rolling.
Real question was, how many beers deep were you, and how long was the podcast? How deep were you in the podcast
usually
at that point in time?
Usually we don't drink beers before the pod or during the podcast, because
some of us don't.
Well, no, when we're in person we do. When we're in person we do. But we used to do it over Skype and stuff.
Fair. Oh, yeah.
So,
I definitely feel,
but
I like that.
But, like, we have an anonymous guest called Space Cowboy, which he sends us his thoughts every week. He doesn't want his identity known. So last year he said Illinois wins the West.
This guy
okay, you got to remember, Illinois was coming off of a very good bowl year.
What,
they have,
6
7
wins?
or 6 wins? Hey, but they were looking like...
The Red Box Bowl, right?
I don't remember. But
Yeah,
they had
I
that
think it was the
comeback
Red
win
Box.
against Michigan State. They were down 31-14, and they came back and won it in the fourth quarter.
They had the win against Wisconsin, too.
Yeah, they had the win against Wisconsin.
Yeah, but the Red Box Bowl, but still, like, the Red Box Bowl and 6 wins is like, the jail cell above purgatory. It's not that much better.
Like I said, these were very off the cuff predictions.
You're forgetting they're called bold predictions.
Yeah, these aren't your mild takes.
So
You're throwing something out there and hoping it sticks.
So
Tyler Goodson's gonna be really good this year.
Joey said last year Iowa and Wisconsin are undefeated December 12th when they meet. That could
Should have been.
That wasn't a bad pick.
Austin said
not
Iowa
bad.
averages 40 points a game. So
Okay.
that was pretty ridiculous.
It was a very optimistic number, but like 9
Kinda
points
close
off.
to be honest.
Yeah.
But I mean, most since 2002. Like,
Right.
you should at least pat yourself on the back for that.
No.
Thank
no,
you.
We don't.
I appreciate the credit.
No, that's a good one.
His brother, who's on sometimes, he said Brandon Smith throws a passing touchdown. So really out there. We need when was the last time wide receiver for Iowa threw a passing touchdown? God, I can't remember.
Didn't Amir Smith Marset? Oh no, he had a kick return.
Marvin McNutt, probably.
I was gonna say it's got to be McNutt. I remember.
He was a quarterback.
Yeah,
coming
but
into
I can't remember
college.
him actually. I don't know.
Tavon Smith?
Ooh, that might be a good guess.
Former podcast.
Oh yeah, we did have
we
one
had
one
Tavon
time.
on.
Yeah.
Couple years ago.
Tavon might have
How's
thrown
Mac
one.
Oh, this was a couple years ago. I don't know.
Well, you know, I mean,
Oh, the dab. Yeah.
so I said, "How's his neck doing?"
Probably still in a brace.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really nice that he came on for us. And then my pick last year was Tyler Goodson as a Heisman finalist.
Dude, these are not like that bad of takes. You make it sound like it was like awful. Like outside
the
the
Illinois
Illinois ones. Outside, like your guys' 2 takes were pretty good.
I didn't think it was unrealistic.
But still, to be fair though, like Iowa averaging 40 points is actually kind of crazy.
That's
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
there.
Like it's
That's
hindsight
close.
doesn't make it look crazy,
Yeah.
but like
Well, I
that's
mean,
kind of batshit
In
crazy.
today's college football world, any specific team or like any random team scoring 40 a game, not that crazy.
Yeah.
Iowa averaging 40 a
Yeah.
game, that's outlandish.
Iowa, Wisconsin. Well, Wisconsin did a couple times. Or no, they did like once last year actually. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they had all sorts of those quarterback issues
All right.
Yeah.
early though.
All right,
So bold predictions.
you guys go first.
I will
Yeah.
write these down.
I want to see how bold these get before I make
So
mine.
you want me to?
Yeah, you guys go
You
first.
want me to go or you?
You definitely should go because I
Okay.
need to think
I don't
something
think mine's
really bold.
Actually, that crazy.
Here we go.
It's
Setting the bar real low.
Bold.
it's Iowa doesn't
Looks like
drop.
off the races.
Iowa doesn't drop below their preseason ranking.
So they're 18 right now.
Yeah, but you
That means they have to win.
You have
They
to
have
win
to
your
win
first
first
two
two-
games.
like
no,
the first
you gotta
two
win
games.
one of the two.
Yeah.
I don't
Yes,
think
but if
they'll
you-
drop.
But if they lose Indiana, they're already getting
Yeah, that's
down.
true.
Yeah,
And
that's the thing. So
if
you
you
have to
lose
beat
Iowa,
Indiana.
yeah, you have to beat Indiana. If you lose Iowa State, they're going to be ranked ahead of you anyway, so you can't realistically fall that. I mean, given Iowa State wins against UNI week 1, which isn't a given. UNI plays Iowa State
Never
tough
forget,
every year.
Iowa
Yeah.
State almost lost to Drake in December a couple of years ago.
That was
I do
awesome.
remember that. Yeah.
So that's mine. Stin,
Oh boy,
I got mine.
I got mine too.
do I got to put a shot clock on?
maybe.
5, 4.
Do you want us to go first?
Yes, I think so.
You go.
Stin, you're.
Iowa
Thank
will
you.
beat Iowa State, Penn State, and Wisconsin, but lose the Big Ten West.
So you're saying Northwestern and Purdue are still going to get us?
Minnesota might get you too.
Okay.
All right.
Tell me, like, measure how hot this is. I know there's no way of measuring this.
Tell
I
me to
think-
measure it, but there's no way of measuring it.
I think Spencer Petras will become, like, for most fans, a fan favorite. Like,
I like
not
that.
fan favorite, but I know you like it. That's why I said it. So I know, like, I could get that reassurance right away.
Yeah, within this podcast, maybe not a super hot take. I think within the fan base, there is a lot
Yeah.
of Spencer Petras hate
I
out
think
there
he'll
still.
I think at least, like I said, no way of really measuring this. 65-70% of the fan base will approve of Spencer Petras.
So I got a bunch of questions hating on Spencer Petras sent to me. Like,
Hey,
It's-
we can get to those. I got to give my
yeah,
bold
but
prediction.
they don't actually have to answer them. It's like, is Petras good or bad, and why is he so bad? Like, what? Like, it's just stupid shit. Or like, this one's kind of funny. Is he boxers or briefs guy? I don't know if you.
He strikes me as a briefs guy.
Yeah, I was. Oh, really? I was gonna say boxers.
I was gonna say briefs. He's a big country listener, and I don't envision country listeners wearing
they need.
wearing boxers.
Really?
I'm a big country music guy.
I mean, clearly I'm not a country connoisseur.
I like country guy. I wear I wear briefs.
Oh, breaking news! Breaking news!
How did we get
This
to
is the type of stuff you can only get on the Hawkeye Tailgate podcast.
Yep, you got that right. Okay.
This is the real Hawkeye insider.
Yeah. So, Stin, what's your bold take?
All right, Iowa has multiple players win their respective National Player of the Year award.
National Player of the Year?
So Tyler Linderbaum is one, obviously.
And then I'm going to say either Tyler Goodson with the Doak Walker or Tory Taylor with the Ray Guy.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were going to say, like, Tyrone Tracy, and I was going to make some, like, outline. I'll chug a bottle of, like, ghost
No,
pepper
but I
hot
mean,
sauce
either
if
way,
that
to have, like, multiple players from the same team win a positional,
Yeah.
like, National Player of the Year, that's pretty out there.
Was Taylor runner-up or...
No, he didn't. Wasn't even a finalist.
Oh, he wasn't?
No, he got
Well, that's an
semifinalist.
absolute hose job.
It was pretty... I thought it was pretty ridiculous he wasn't a finalist.
All right.
To be fair, though, the guy doesn't know football yet. Like, I remember he was telling us a story. I think it was during the Purdue game. It was a Northwestern game. Iowa had scored in the first quarter, and he, like, ran on the field to go celebrate with the team, and LeVar Woods said, "What the hell are you doing? Get the back here."
That's
and
funny.
he just goes like, "I didn't know I couldn't run on the field to go celebrate."
That's pretty funny.
Hey, Joey, you want to spit a hot take out while you're sitting
Yes, he
here?
does. You can't listen.
Yeah, I was going to say,
and
you
not spit out a
haven't
hot
talked in
take.
like an
He's
hour.
definitely got one, too.
So I was going to say this before Sean went, but I was going to say that Spencer Petrus will not be the starting quarterback by the end of the year.
Oh,
my
we have
God.
headbutting ones. All right.
I feel like it's
Starting
definitely going to end
quarterback?
in between that.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Well, those are two ends. That's... Yeah.
Okay, wait, hold up. Who starts? Wait, who starts?
No, you get one, Joey.
Everybody gets one.
Yeah, do you want to mention your other?
Wait, no.
Yeah.
Let him mention it, and then, but first you have to tell us, okay, who takes over the job? Is it Deuce Hogan or Alex Padilla?
Alex Padilla.
It'd be Padilla.
Okay.
Yeah.
But my other one was
Say how high he wants to go
with
with
COVID ramping back up, by the end of the season, there will not be fans in Kinnick Stadium.
Don't put that energy.
Yeah, I was
in
going
the
to
air.
say, that's
that's
way
bad.
too
No,
negative.
I've been-
I can't handle that in my life.
I've been worried about that too. I'm not gonna lie. Like people have been so excited for the season, which rightfully so. But I at the beginning of August, I'm like, oh, we're so fucking close. Like, let's just get there. That's all I want.
They can't afford to. There will be fans in Kinnick Stadium. At least I think it's gonna be full capacity all year. I really do. But I have a very, at worst comes to worst, I have a very hard time envisioning they'll be under 50 to 65%. Like, I think 50, there will never be under half capacity in Kinnick this year.
That's fair.
I'd be astounded if it was.
I was gonna say, if not, can I be your +1 to a game?
I don't know if that's how media credentials work.
Yeah.
If you want to take pictures.
Oh, I could take pictures. I can do it all, man. Look it. We're here. We're doing it. But
Okay, so instead, it's like The Bachelor, except there's not roses. It's +1s to an Iowa football game this year.
yeah, I'll talk to Barta. It's not like I haven't ever said anything bad about him before.
They do a social media check.
Yeah. No, I've
This
actually.
guy's banned for life.
Why did Luke? Why did you say Gary Barta? How the hell does he still have a job?
I've actually gone back and rid of most swear words and Barta talk and anything.
He's preparing for his opportunity.
Well, I mean, I'm currently looking for a job. If you're hiring, Myers Luke M at sau.edu. I'm right here. 563. Just kidding. I'm not telling you my phone number. All right. So I think that wraps up the first half of our show.
Jesus, we're
Yeah.
an hour and a half in.
So
first
coming
half.
up, we got our over/unders for the season. We're gonna have a draft of the bars in Iowa City, and then I have a few more questions from the fans, and we got thoughts from space. The long lost
shotgun a White Claw or something. to get
long
those
lost
hits.
segment coming up next. But we do have an ad from. So our podcast is actually put up on StudentUnionSports.com. Shout out to them, and one of their sponsors, BUSR.com Sportsbook. We do our HTRLA every Saturday in the fall. That's me, Joey, Stin, Space Cowboy, and Matthew all pick a Big Ten game on that day and put it together in a parlay. Joey did terrible at it last year. We did one time, but we like to bet our fair share of sports. But it isn't always easy to find a reputable source to place a bet. At Student Union Sports, we are big fans of BUSR.com. BUSR is your go-to location for all sports betting and online gaming. Bet on your favorite sports events today, including NFL, NBA, college football, MLB, and much more. If you're into betting the ponies, BUSR also offers the best promos, bonuses, and odds of any online racebook. If you pride yourself as a savvy sports bettor, it's easy to see that BUSR offers the best value for your buck. Head over to busr.com, student union busr.com/student union today and receive up to a $500 cash match on your first deposit. Again, that's busr.com/student union. You can also find the link on Student Union's Twitter page, website, everything like that. All right, moving on now. We got, I said, over-unders push.
Speaking of over-unders, do we get overtime pay for being here this late?
You don't get anything because we don't get anything. I actually sent an email to a brewery trying to sponsor that we were at this past week, so...
Which one?
We're not, I mean, no free ads until it's happening.
There's one in Dubuque that I went to a couple weeks.
Dimensional.
Is that the one?
There's like 3 in Dubuque.
It's like really like...
It looks like it has to be Dimensional.
If you're talking about a brewery in Dubuque, it's Dimensional.
No,
Sorry.
it could be Back Pocket.
They have like,
Seven Hills.
Do they have like live
There's
music
also
and
Back
stuff there?
Pocket.
Like
yeah,
they have a stage?
I mean, they all...
It's like pretty like a lot of... I don't know the name of it. Like wooden. It's like pretty wood.
It
like
could
wood
be,
tables.
It also could be
Hills
Back
or-
Pocket.
I think it might have been Back Pocket. I could be
Sounds
wrong
like back
though.
pocket.
But yeah.
No free ads.
None of those.
Yeah.
None of those. It's not...
all just got free ads.
Not up by...
Yeah.
No free ads.
There's one more I'm forgetting. That's
Oh, here we
West
go.
Avenue.
About to get another one.
Moving on.
All right. So, yeah, like we got over-unders. I mentioned Thoughts from Space coming up, and we're drafting the bars in Iowa City, Coralville, North Liberty, if you want to. I don't really care, but...
There is one good bar in North Liberty that I can think of, but...
Okay.
Why'd you do that? I was
Is
like,
it
must
the
be
bar I
a-
had to leave early from?
Might have been.
Yeah, all right. So, the over-unders. Well, do you just want me to run down them all quick?
No.
One at a time.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I mean, do you want me to read them all?
No.
No.
That's why we just said
That's why
one
we
at a
said one
time.
at a time.
All right, assholes. Okay.
Are we doing this quick or are we doing like
We
long
can do it
explanations?
semi-quick. Semi-quick.
Just,
I'm ready to get
rapid
to the snake
reaction.
draft.
All right. So, last year, Petrus's completion percentage was 57.1. Over, under, or push? We'll just go in a circle, so start with Sean.
Over.
Over. I think minimum low 60s.
Better be over.
Better be, or that's what you're taking.
Sounds like a threat to his family. Sounds like you're threatening his family.
Under.
What?
Hey, my prediction was that he wasn't going to be the starter by the end of the
True.
year.
Hey, at least he's back in.
Yeah,
That
that's
was a
fair.
bold take.
That's
though.
yeah. I'm definitely
Wait,
going.
to clarify that though, it can't be because of injury. Like he has to get benched.
Yeah.
Like he
Okay,
can't
yeah,
get
yeah,
injured
He's
and then
gotta
like
lose the job.
yeah.
All right.
All right, I'm taking the over for sure.
I took the over as well. Fun fact, in the second half of the season last year, he had a 63 something. So,
One more thing about the Petrus thing. What if he gets hurt for like a game or two, and then Padilla comes in and just
Yeah,
plays off
they
Zach,
lose
and
his
then
spot.
loses his job?
Yeah, that
Okay.
counts.
Okay.
because he'll get outplayed, then that means that Padilla would.
I will say though too, if he can get anywhere in the 63 to 65 range, I think that's Iowa winning the Big Ten West.
Didn't Nate Stanley never have a full season over 60%? I don't
He
think
was
he
really
did.
close. If anything, I think he was 58, 59
Yeah,
a couple
I
times.
think his whole career he never had a full season over 60%.
I don't. Was senior year? I think he had 61. I'll have to double check that, but
Okay.
Either way, that goes to like he's like one of the most winning Iowa football quarterbacks ever, and like we're debating whether or not he had a full season
took
over
care of the
60%.
football though. That was the
Yeah.
thing though too.
I'm saying like it shows that you don't have to have like ungodly high completion percentage as the Iowa quarterback for the team to still succeed.
All right. I don't know if I said it. I'm taking the over as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
We
Then-
figured.
Yeah. I'm always a Hawkeye
We
quarterback
tend to
apologist.
take a lot of overs around here.
For the
Well,
record,
life's too short to bet the under.
Absolutely.
last year, I got 4.5 out of 7 right, and that was the most out of our panel. So,
What did I take the? Never mind.
all right.
Hey, Joey did take a really ignorant push.
He did. It was, yeah. Oh, it was Duncan's field goal percentage.
Oh.
Yeah. Next one is Goodson, over 999.5 rushing yards. Last year, he was on about a 1,050 pace, 12-game pace. This is only 12-game.
Ooh. I think it goes over just because I think Kelly Martin gets a decent amount of carries, but I think this is the year that Tyler takes more.
Can we officially say Sean has a crush on Kelly Martin? He's the only person
I
who brought
I
him-
wouldn't go so far as crush. I think it's in that I like you stage.
Yeah.
We're both ESCC boys, East
Somebody-
Suburban Catholic Conference.
Somebody gonna go? Somebody? David?
Over. I think Goodson's get pushed around 1150. 1,150 this year.
I'll take the over on this one as well.
No surprise here. I'm also going to take the over.
I went over as well, so glad we're all on the same page on that one. The next one up, sack leader and who. So each of these are a half point. Last year's sack leader was on about an 8 pace. I set it at 7.5 this year. And who?
So, who I want as a sack leader?
Yeah.
And then whether or not they'll get the over.
Okay.
What was the over? It was 7.5.
I might go a little off the radar on this one. I might go Joe Evans. I'm going to say under.
I'm going to go with the safe pick. I think Van Valkenburg. I'm going to take the under, though. I don't think Iowa has an elite pass rusher, and I think if there's going to be anyone that's close to it, it's going to be Joe Evans because he's going to be a specialist in that.
Why? That's why I picked him.
Proud of you.
I will also go Van Valkenburg, and I will take the over.
Big year. Any additional comments with that?
He's really my guy.
Is he going pro? Is he going pro if he hits the over?
He's going to have to hit well over to go pro for me.
Okay. All right. Respectful.
6 years in college.
Yeah,
I
hey,
mean.
man. All you got to do is make it.
He's studying Russian, I think.
What?
He's studying Russian.
Yeah, he's saying
Yeah,
Russian.
Yeah, he
He
can
wants
speak
to be an
Russian or something.
international businessman or politician. He wants to work in government.
All right, Stin.
I'm going to go really crazy with my sack leader. We're going to go Jack Campbell.
Ooh. Did he have
I
a
said,
sack?
really
Did he have a
crazy.
sack? He had 1 sack last year, I
We're
think.
going really crazy.
Tracy only had 14 catches, so let's
This is
not
more
judge
so just
stats.
because I don't want everybody to say the same 2 people. So I'm
Yeah.
just picking. We'll just put that under the bold
Should put this under your
predictions list
yeah,
also.
I was gonna say that's yeah.
Did you say under?
Yeah, and we're going to take the under.
I went with Van Valkenburg and under as well. So
I think Van Valkenburg gets 7.
yeah.
I think realistically, I do think Van Valkenburg is going to be the sack leader, just for the sake of some parity.
Stop. You're good. You're good. No, you're fine.
Yeah, no,
You're doing great, princess.
Shut up. The next one, receiving touchdowns, 12.5. Last year's pace was 12, basically.
Wow.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant first. Okay.
You
So
were
it's
talking whole
12.5
team?
this year.
No, I thought you were talking like a single player. I'm like,
Oh, no. Team.
Oh.
yeah.
Wait, team? Receiving touchdown?
Yeah, last year's pace was 12. I set it at 12.5.
It's going over.
Yeah, over.
I'd hope so.
That's the easiest.
Yeah, I think that's a definite over.
I thought you were going receiving touchdowns. Now it could be.
All right, no,
could be
that line
interesting.
sucks. We're gonna make it 19.5. 19.5.
Holy
Under.
shit, guys.
Under. Under.
What do you think?
18.
You want to do 19
I'm gonna go over. I think you can get 20.
I'll go well under.
Oh.
See, okay, now
Getting
12 doesn't seem so
so-
I feel
stupid.
like you're sticking with this whole.
All right, so redoing this. What is it?
19 and a half.
19.
Actually, I'm going to go over with 19.5. I think they get 21.
David?
I took the over.
Joey?
Joey said under.
Well under.
Well,
Yeah, put the well and double underline it and then double
well
trace it.
under.
Stin?
I'm gonna take the over. There's too many receiving weapons, and with Goodson coming out of the backfield as well, I think we definitely hit that number.
I was taking the over either way. I have to, I think. I'm a Petrus apologist. So, turnovers for the defense. Last year they were on a 24 pace, 24.5.
Oh, wow.
That's a big number.
I think
This is over the last 5 years or whatever, it's one of the best.
Oh, yeah,
they have the most
easily.
interceptions.
That'd be counting on 2 turnovers every game, essentially.
My
This is all
concern-
regular season, though, right?
Yep, 12
Yeah.
games.
24.
my concern is just the defensive line getting pressure on the quarterback consistently. I think they'll get there, but I'm going to go under for now.
Sean? Okay.
I'm going to take the under as well for the same reason as Sean, because I think you look at the last couple of years, like Davion Nixon had the pick 6. Iowa defensive linemen can force fumbles. Zach Van Valkenburg led the nation, tied for the nation's leader in fumbles recovered. I just don't know who's going to be able to get back there and cause fumbles, and I think that has to account for 5 or so turnovers to make the mark. I'm going to take the under.
I'm going to take well under as well for all the reasons David said.
I think he's focused on drinking. He's seeing well.
Shit, I don't know. The number sounds big at the get-go, but then I said it's basically 2 turnovers every game, which I feel like we're capable of, especially because we have such a ball-hawking secondary. But you do have to account for fumbles being in there. Oh shit! And you put it at half. I said over for everything else, so screw it. I'll just say over again. Because it's a lot more fun.
You actually said under for Saxton.
Shit. Okay. Well.
Well, you said over now. Set in stone.
Yeah.
I said over as well. Secondary. I mean.
I don't know. You're counting for a lot of interceptions there, which I was like nationally way up there in the last 3 seasons and getting interceptions, but obviously there's a lot of skill and planning that go into interceptions, but there's also some luck that results in you getting some interceptions that you can't continue to count on moving forward.
When you think of the Big Ten West, though, quarterback play isn't exactly something you can hit home to,
Right.
Nebraska, Illinois,
Is Tanner
Minnesota.
Morgan the best quarterback in the Big Ten West?
Graham Mertz.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Tanner Morgan's more proven.
Tanner Morgan kind of.
Oh my God.
Tanner Morgan kind of sucked last year.
Tanner
He'll be
Morgan.
good this year.
He had nobody to throw to.
Okay.
I think Morgan's a pretty solid quarterback. Can you win the Big Ten West with him? No. I think Graham Mertz right now, as far as potential and what I've seen, what he can do, as far as natural talent goes, I think Mertz is probably the best
all
quarterback.
reports out of Madison have just been like meh. Like he's just been meh this whole fall camp.
It probably is Morgan just for the proven track record. 'Cause, he was remember he was a second team All Big Ten guy at one point.
He was insanely efficient that one year too.
Yeah, it was their 2019
11
season.
Oh my God,
he was insane.
I was arguing with so many people last year about he's Mitch Leidner 2.0. He was so hyped up before last season, and you said he had nobody
could actually
to
throw
throw to,
a complete pass like Leidner. The fact that that's Todd McShay's biggest whiff of his career.
Excuse
and
me.
those guys will definitely have
Jimmy
missed.
Clausen would like a word.
Well, Jimmy Clausen, I think anyone that actually watched him knew he wasn't going to do anything.
Did you guys see that Matt Barkley is still trying to make a roster in the NFL?
Really?
He was a backup for how long? So
he was a 5-star quarterback coming out of high school, I think.
USC, yeah.
Well, he's on the Bills now.
So is Trubisky. What a quarterback!
He's sitting behind. He's sitting behind the MVP.
MVP, yeah.
MVP.
True.
So next up, rivalry trophies, 2.5. We have them all right now.
Yeah, I guess you kind of do it. Have to put it 2.5, don't you?
You can't say 3.5 because that means
or you can put 3. Make somebody push.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put 2.5 though. Just because.
I think they lose to one of the rivals.
One, so you're taking the over. 4
How many are
rivalry
there?
trophies.
Four.
Heartland, Cyhawk, Heroes, and
Right.
Floyd or Rosedale.
Floyd. Oh my God, my favorite.
I'm gonna say 2. Yeah, I'm gonna say under.
I think it's over. I don't think there's any way Iowa will lose to Nebraska, and I think they beat Iowa State minimum. And then I have a hard time watching them lose to Wisconsin and Minnesota.
I'm gonna go with all 4. Keep it going, especially with Padilla at the helm for the last game.
All right, Stin.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over. I think we lose to either Iowa State or Wisconsin. I don't think we lose both of those games.
I'm in the same.
I think that we beat Nebraska and Minnesota easy.
I'm taking the over as well. But my God, I do not want to lose that Cyhawk game. Like if there's one game I do not want to lose this year.
I would rather lose to them than any of our other trophy games because
they're Big Ten. I know, Stin.
Yeah, it means more for your season goals. Obviously, the rivalry with Iowa State, you don't want them to do good, but in terms of how good your season can be, the Iowa State game means so much less compared to the Wisconsin, Nebraska, Minnesota games.
All right. I took the over, and then wins 8.5.
Under. 8.
Over.
This is just regular season, right?
Regular season.
8, yeah.
Over, baby.
We're hammering the over.
I took the over as well, but there's outside of the first 2 games, there's a stretch where you play Wisconsin, Northwestern, and who would that be?
We're going to Wisconsin, so that's a win.
They
don't lose when we go.
Keep this in mind too about the Wisconsin game. Iowa, I believe, has a bye before they play Wisconsin.
They do.
But you also have to take into account that Iowa typically struggles coming out of the bye over the last decade or so.
The other team was Wisconsin, Northwestern, Purdue. They're in a 3-week stretch. They play those 3, and we know what Northwestern and Purdue are capable to doing to our mentality. I don't know what it is, but my God. Just 1 year I'd like
Well,
to be
put it this
the
way, if Hunter Johnson is starting quarterback at
5
Northwestern, well, yeah, I mean, I know, but I watched him play last year.
But they have Coach Fitz.
They have Coach Fitz.
And they'll have a short, stocky running back who doesn't look fast.
Yeah.
And it'll gash us up the middle
one of their
for
guys is
10
out for the
yards
season.
carry.
Oh, who?
Cam Porter, right? Is it Cam Porter, Dave?
Yes.
He's out for the year.
Yeah.
And they lost 2 of their top guys to the portal this offseason, running backs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who's good. Well, then again, remember Isaiah Bowser was like a fifth
Yeah, that guy just came out of nowhere. Same thing with Xander Horvath from Purdue.
I mean, Iowa's done that too with Mark Wiseman.
Outside David Bell, he's
Wiseman for Heisman, baby.
And I'm taking the over as well. And then the last one is packs of gum chewed by Kirk during the game. This pace is actually unknown. I put it at 14.5
Over.
for the 12-game season. But here's my thing. Do you ever see Kirk put more gum in his mouth?
Okay, so here's my question. Does he chew packs of gum, or does he have individual wrapped Hubba Bubba in his pocket and he just tosses a new one in? Because that's not a pack.
So
you just get it in the big jug.
That doesn't last long
Right,
either.
that's like 15 minutes tops, and you got to put in a new piece.
Here's the thing.
15? Holy cow, that's high.
I was
said
going to
tops.
say like,
I was like 5.
15, I was going to say like 3 minutes.
That's
If we give you the +1 pass, Luke, your entire assignment is to watch Kirk Ferentz and take a picture every time he puts in.
And that's my thing, though. Like, have you ever seen, like, I mean, the camera's on Kirk a decent amount during a game. It's not a constant
Well,
thing.
it's usually
but
after like a penalty, and he's writing it down in his notepad about like, hey, this guy committed a false start, or he's getting after the officials.
And if he is doing the double bubble technique, his pockets are never that.
I guess there's double bubble, isn't it? It's Hubba Bubba, isn't it?
Hubba
it's
Bubba,
dou-
I think.
Well, Hubba Bubba comes in the pack of 5.
No.
No,
with-
what? That's the roll.
No,
isn't
double
it?
bubble is.
No, I think Luke's right.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's like the yellow and blue.
Because, like,
that double bubble?
MLB teams have double bubble buckets in their.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Well, Kirk Ferentz is not carrying around 30 pieces of gum in his pockets. He's got a guy for his gum. Let's be honest.
man, I don't know. So, seriously, what are we doing here? I don't know how we're going to track this. Send him an email.
I think we should all take
Send him an email. Group text.
See, I actually took the under here. Are you guys all want to take the over?
Yeah,
That's fine.
I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, just because there's no other way. There's no way to prove it, so might as well take the over, right?
Yeah. All right. So, that concludes the over-under here. We want to do some thoughts from space before we get into the bar draft quick?
Sure.
This is from our special guest, Space Cowboy, our anonymous guest.
This is the part where if you have children listening, make them not listen for a couple minutes.
Earmuffs.
I mean, they've been listening to like half of what you've been saying.
Facts. Okay. All right. So his thoughts were very scattered. So I'm kind of going to be jumping in and out between different kind of topics that we've touched on
The
throughout
inner
the
workings
podcast.
of Space Cowboy's mind are an enigma.
It's a dark place.
It is.
All right.
Shout out Patrick Star.
All right, so he started out with over-unders. So he said, Petrus over on completions, Goody over on yards, even though Mackay was better. Don't know why he felt like putting that in there.
So we started over.
Yeah, over. And then he said under on everything else. Sack leader is Campbell, and Evans with 4.5. His bold prediction is that Terry Roberts leads the team in interceptions.
That's a bold take, and he's a really good player.
And then he has some questions for Sean and David. I'll pick a couple of them. We're going to skip a lot of them. Question number 1 from Space Cowboy. How good will Iowa look when every team is full on scholarships and Iowa has 5 to 6 left, with lots of guys having little to no junior year?
Wait, sorry, I wasn't listening. I had someone text me. I supposedly have a fantasy draft tonight, so I'm a little worried now.
Oops.
Yeah.
Gotta download the app. Repeat the question one more time
All
for
right.
Sean.
How good will Iowa look when every team is full on scholarships and Iowa has 5 to 6 left, with lots of guys having little to no junior year?
That question kind of confuses me a little bit.
I was confused by it too.
I'm like,
Hey, I don't make the questions. I just read. I'm just the mouth of Space Cowboy. Okay, next.
Skip, yeah.
This one is not even football related.
That's all right. Let it go.
Which basketball player would you pick to date an imaginative daughter?
Oh my god.
We need an answer.
I don't know if I could answer this
I
one
don't know if I can
either.
answer that either.
You guys answer it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, all right. I think it's got to be one of the Murray boys, right?
You're money
I-
chasing, you're saying Keegan.
No, I'm not money chasing. They just seem like they have a really nice family. I don't know. They have family morals behind them all.
I was gonna go with Gundale. Seems like a tender lover.
All right, Stin.
We are not taking part in this.
Okay. I'm gonna say Joe Toussaint, because as every broadcaster likes to say, he's tough and he's from the Bronx, so he won't put up with anybody giving her a hard time.
All right, respect. You
They do
respect
say that so much.
You respect
Every
Really?
broadcast.
All right, next question, Stin. This is still Thoughts from Space, by the way,
Yeah.
if you're still hanging in there.
24/7 Sports and Hawkeye Insider does not condone the content in this segment, and that is why we have not participated to this point. Just want to put that out there.
Yep.
We're
We
actually
are simply
not.
guests. We are
yeah.
actually victims and just guests on the podcast.
We're not holding you here. You know that. Okay, this is going to be the last question from the segment. Who/what would you sacrifice for a Big Ten title? Same question for a natty.
My right arm.
Yeah, I think for you guys. The only way here's what I'll say. The only way we could actually answer that is at the reality when it comes to journalism. And this is something like at least I believe. Every reporter that reports on a certain team is a homer to some extent because when the team is good, they're more fun to cover.
Yeah.
And as far as being an actual journalist and building their own individual brand, it helps them because obviously more people are going to read their stuff. You're actually competing for a national title.
Yeah.
Right. Like recruiting this summer is a fine example of that too, with the way it's gone. Like the interest is high, but like the amount of flack I've gotten for no reason with like some of the intel I've gotten is just absolutely ridiculous.
Welcome to journalism.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not real journalists.
I will say-
quit
I
patting
will
yourself
say-
on the back.
I will say for my one sports team, or not my one sports team,
Yeah, we'll switch it
Yeah,
around
switch
for
that.
not-
Yeah,
Okay.
do that.
I would not make money for a year if the White Sox won the World Series.
Oh, kiss my ass. That is the stupidest thing. How old were you when they won in 05? Like what?
I was 6. Yeah, I was 6.
so old,
I was
dude.
6 or 7.
I'm older than
I was
you,
in
aren't
first grade.
No,
Yeah,
no. How old are you?
almost 27.
I'm 20. Okay, I'm 26.
You're so young. So young.
So
Yeah.
you're both
I'm
26.
almost
Yeah.
22
Hey,
and
you
a half.
also have a lot. Yeah, had a
22
lot,
and a half. You're still counting the half?
Sean had a lot of talk on Twitter the other day when I first.
Well, this is going to come into our bar because I wore my White Sox jersey to the bar on
Oh,
Saturday,
God.
Man,
and a couple girls complimented it. So, just saying.
Sick.
I don't know.
Southside's
Twins jersey's pretty.
Good thing
ugh.
I didn't see you because it would have been on site.
David.
No comment.
If Russell Westbrook wins an NBA title, yeah, I'm picking an individual player. I wouldn't cut my hair for 5 years.
Well, you're in luck because he's playing with the king now. It's happening this year.
It's
Russ is
happening.
going to carry LeBron's old bum ass to a championship.
Yes, sir.
David's a Thunder fan. Didn't know if you guys knew that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. I got to watch Kevin Durant in his return game. The best sports atmosphere I've ever seen in my entire life. My voice was out within 3 minutes of the first quarter, and it was a good time.
Sean, I was at the Field of Dreams game. Are you jealous?
I am.
It was honestly, it was the coolest, easily a top 3 coolest experience of my
Well, you
life.
guys are Northeast Iowa natives, so
Yeah, we live like 8 miles away.
Right.
Our parents do. I was working though. It was.
Yeah, Joey didn't pay for it.
I got even better. I got paid $15 an hour to be there. It was
that's
sick.
pretty sick.
I will say though, the White Sox are a way more fun team to watch than the Twins. Like,
Right.
Their
The bullpen.
their chemistry. Like, I actually like a lot of their players, but like the Twins, you watch them, they're just like, wow, none of these guys like each other. And the White Sox, like, they just all look like.
I don't care what the Twins' record is. Since they got rid of Nelson Cruz, I feel so much better playing against them.
Because Nelson Cruz, him and Donaldson only hit tots against the Sox.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have dominated us, but have not won a playoff series in like how long?
They're 18
Hold
consecutive
up.
playoff
Here we go.
losses.
Yeah.
Let me pull it up.
That's actually absurd.
Somebody sent
Yeah.
me a snap yesterday because he's a Yankees fan, real jackass. But let me see if I can find. Oh, it's right here. It says the Yankees are 106-38 against the Twins since 2002.
That's insane to think
Like
about.
that is like. I don't even. I guarantee there's never been two teams in MLB history who've had a stretch like that. I would guarantee it.
I will say, I know we don't want to talk about baseball too much, but the Twins, like, I would feel worse if I'm a Cubs fan considering the market that they have. The Twins, it's not like a huge, like, market.
Here's
like,
the thing, though, Sean. The Cubs won in 16. I'm a Vikings, Twins, Iowa Hawkeye, and Oklahoma City Thunder fan. I have never seen a championship. I've never had that personal fulfillment at the end of the year. And
mine was like when I was 6 or 7, so, like, I had it, but you never really realize it until you get older. Like,
You never
if
know
I
what you
now,
had till it's gone.
like, I'm
Sad.
afraid, all right, I
Sad
shouldn't,
boy hours.
We're getting deep.
I shouldn't be saying this. I'm afraid for myself in October.
Oh, you better be. You and plan sick days on Twitter. Oh, I'm coming headhunting.
The White Sox in October, I am horrified.
Tony La Russa is going to lead him to the promised land.
He doesn't know how to use Craig Kimbrell.
That's when Tony retires. That's when Tony hibernates.
All right. Any other thoughts?
Yes, shockingly, we're still in thoughts from space.
10 minutes later.
All right, these are his final thoughts. Once again, just content warning for people out there. Small children, don't listen. Sean and David, I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
As long as we don't get in trouble for it, I'm good.
Nah, it's not. Well, it's what he doesn't say anything about you guys. So, okay. Final thoughts. Football is back, and I'm harder than the last level of Mario. 2021 should be a stepping stone for what 2022 could be, especially with most of Iowa's rivals starting 16 to 20 seniors. Last year, Padilla was the man who would have led Iowa to an undefeated season. This year, I'm on the Petrus train. Final thought. Space Cowboy Jr. do Thanksgiving, so those illiterate Nebraska won't get to see me doing the old meat spin in their sold-out stadium. Don't worry, I hear Keith Big Nuts Duncan will be in attendance. Scott's soon-to-be ex-wife.
Oh, God. I didn't actually read them.
Hawkeye Insider is not part of this segment.
Yes, we would like to say that. This is not associated with the 24/7
This shit went
voice zone.
off the rails way too
This is
quick.
what happens.
I told you, his mind is a dark space.
Well, you should have been around back. Joey used to do a Urban Dictionary read for the team they were playing. Like I'm telling
Classic
you,
segment.
it's gotten cleaner over the years, kind of, but yeah. All right. So now, it's the moment you.
By the way,
all
I'd
been
like to preface this by saying I am a University of Nebraska grad, so I'm definitely not.
I was wondering if
I'm not a.
Boo,
I
David,
don't condone
boo.
I was wondering if you're gonna bring that up. I didn't know if you wanted to make it public because Joey.
I've talked about it.
Yeah.
I got asked. I've been asked about it. I don't know how many times.
I told Joey that before the podcast, and he was really surprised. So.
I thought we talked about that
Beer Olympics?
social gathering
Oh yeah,
that we were
social
at.
gathering.
Yeah.
There might have been some stuff I don't remember from that day for various reasons.
Fair.
All right. So now we're gonna do our.
Podcast like 2.5 hours, isn't it?
Oh, well, I think we're at like a little shy of 2 hours right now.
Oh, nice.
That's not bad.
Not bad. Not bad.
Hey, and football content. Everybody wants it.
Hashtag.
This is the content that people want coming up.
Yeah. Oh, you wouldn't believe the amount of people that tell us they like the stuff we talk about, like that's not sports related. Like
Let's
they,
go.
Like 3 people.
yeah, some of our biggest fans. We do have we do have super fans, man. Lucas Lee brothers. They were on us day one. But all right. So we're gonna draft the bars in Iowa City, and we figured out the order.
No, yeah, you figured out the order.
No, we did closest birthday coming up.
I know.
Okay, January isn't even close to August. I don't know what we're complaining about.
You did research to make it seem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Text me happy birthday. So, he goes
here's
like, oh, clearly David's gonna be last.
It's a snake order. Did I text you happy birthday?
Yes.
Oh damn! Look at me, good dude.
I mean, I wouldn't say that after this.
I hate wishing people happy birthdays.
I don't like doing it for the social media clout that a lot of people do.
I don't like that either.
Like, I
Well,
quit doing it on
I don't know
Facebook.
about that. Sean says that. Then last year, not this year, but last year, he photoshopped his face on Allen Iverson stepping over.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Photoshop my face on
Yeah.
the ground and him stepping over me.
Well, that
That's
was
funny.
everyone needed a laugh. It was like COVID, so everyone.
That's why you did it.
Speaking
That's why
of-
you did
Oh,
it.
you're man of the people, Sean Bach.
Speaking of
Yeah.
Photoshops, who's the guy from 24/7 Illinois, Jeremy Werner?
Yes. Oh,
You
yeah.
remember when
you
I
did
cropped
that?
your head on Connor's and
Yeah, you
his head?
took like my douchiest picture too.
That's all of them, buddy. No, I'm
Fair.
just
You know, I want. Yes, fair.
I'm just kidding.
No, you're not. You're not. That's
Wanna
fair.
be frat bro at age 26.
The
Dude, once frat bow, always a frat bow. Frat train can't be stopped.
the draft order is me, Sean, Austin, Joey, and David. And
That's why I was complaining.
we're gonna do a snake draft.
So we're doing 2 or 3?
3. If you
I
can.
wasn't in the.
So I
Tim
didn't.
Durant style draft. I like it.
So I didn't go to Iowa, so I don't have like the college experience here that most people have. Also, we are accepting Union as like a. Who was the guy that drafted from Baylor into the NBA a couple years ago? Austin. Isaiah Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's like Union, so somebody can draft him. But
He's playing professional ball again. Like
yeah, I
overseas,
saw that. Yeah,
actually.
he's coming back. He was cleared.
He's a hell of a fun player to watch in college, too.
But
Anyway.
man, first pick.
Oh, wow. Yeah. You seem so shocked by it.
No,
It's
I
not
have
like you've
two
known
I'm
this for the
deciding
last
between.
hour.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with Big Grove.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that technically a bar?
They
See,
sell
my
beer.
brewery.
So
I
it-
think I classify it as a bar.
I did put breweries on here.
Did you?
Too.
That's fair.
Yeah, because I mean,
Big Grove Solon.
and like I have spent. I mean, let's not lie to ourselves. We've all spent a lot of time at Big Grove before, so it's
I'm not saying that it's a bad pick. Just like
The first
that's-
overall?
yeah, 1-1 like Iowa City bars. Like that's not where my mind is.
This is like everyone passing up on Justin Fields for me right now. The one person.
You know,
Y'all
he reminds me of you guys. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the clip. Inside the NBA did a all-time All-Star game starting lineup or whatever, and Charles Barkley had the first pick, and he goes, Allen Iverson. And everybody goes, what the hell? And he goes like, no, because usually in the All-Star game, the point guard gets the ball. I'm like, no, you're picking your dream lineup. And he
Yeah.
goes, oh.
It's like I'm taking Iguodala.
I'm sticking with
Last
Big
shot,
Grove.
the Martians.
Yeah.
I'm
All
sticking
right.
with Big
Big Grove, so I'm up.
Yeah. So Sean, you talked a lot of game the other night. You better back this up with the one you talked about.
Well, he's got the college experience, though, too.
This is an easy one for me, especially if you're over 21. That's Brothers.
Yeah.
I think it's a lock. I was surprised not the number 1 pick. Just a good place, fun place, especially when you're over 21. Cheap.
Yeah, Joey.
It's versatile. You
They
get
got the outdoor patio.
you
they
get
got
your
the
chill.
dance
You get
floor.
your chill. You got the dance floor. You got cheap drinks.
Yeah.
You got
$7
stalls in the
one-on-one
bathroom.
pictures.
You got stalls in the bathroom.
Oh, that's
That-
big.
that's key.
big.
That's key.
Yeah.
Yeah, 25-cent wings on Wednesday nights after 8 o'clock.
Can't say I've done that.
What?
Are they actually decent wings?
No, not really, but they're
Well,
25
cents.
Not
Yeah,
really, but they're
alright.
25 cents, and they also have $2 Miller High Life bottles
Oh, God.
at the
The
same
champagne
time.
of beer.
That's fair.
That's not actually the only Miller product I'll drink.
Yeah.
But okay.
Wow.
So Stin, yeah, eat crap, Sean.
Sheesh. All right. This is a new one, but it's very quickly rose up the rankings of Iowa City bars.
Yep.
Formerly Blue Moose, but now El Rey's Live and Dive.
Yep.
I'm a sucker for live music. Doesn't matter what type of music the band is playing.
Yeah, that's
if
why
it's
you're
if it's
picking that.
live, I'll have a blast, and they have live music every single night. You can get a bucket of Tall Boys, 5 of them for $12. So they got live music, they got cheap drinks. It's the place to be.
I believe Dallas Jacobus performs there like every week too, right? The
Like
former
twice,
Iowa
I
defensive
think.
lineman. Yeah.
He's there all the time. Yeah.
I'll throw another Iowa fact in there.
So now we got Joey.
Joey's up.
This feels like the steal of the draft. The Union Bar. Pour one out for it. That place changed a lot of lives. For better or worse, it remains to be told. But there was walking into that place as a freshman in college, especially coming from somewhere like where
21-year-old
we came from.
freshman,
Like,
right?
Yeah, 21 freshman.
Right. Yeah.
Of course.
No,
Yeah.
he went before 10.
We don't condone
Yeah.
underage drinking.
did I say I was drinking? And I was.
You didn't say. You just said you walk into the bar.
You come from Holy Cross, Iowa, a town of 375 people, and walk into a place like that. The population of the town was easily surpassed in there, and foam raining down on you. You're carrying around a bottle of champagne. There was just nothing better than that for 2 years. And then you go back here and there as upperclassmen, but a lot of people really miss that place.
All right, David.
First
Two
of all,
picks.
what a What a roller coaster this week has been. I met 50 Cent 2 days ago. Now I get the last damn pick in this draft. So that's great. Oh, I got 2 picks, right?
Yeah, you got back there.
So last isn't
You know
terrible.
what? I'm going with this bar because when I was still an underclassman, and I came to Iowa City for a couple games, had some of my most legendary, fun college nights there.
I know where you're going.
Taking
with this.
Summit.
Yep, I knew it.
Taking Summit.
I
You
knew
got
it.
another pick too.
Specifically the Jungle. Had some really good nights there.
It's nothing better than being in the jungle with a
Yep.
quarter-inch of standing water all
Yep,
over the
it's
floor.
pretty great.
Your feet are sticking to the floors.
Oh, it's solid. I'm gonna go a little bit off the. I won't say off the rails. I'm gonna go Joe's Place.
Damn it.
Oh, that's a
Ah,
good.
I
That's a quality pick.
That's a good pick.
I really like Joe's Place, the rooftop. I remember I had Cinco de Mayo this year. I know I went up there. They had $50 margarita towers. Went to Cult Bites, had 3 of them. It was a really, really good time. And then I got my second dose of COVID vaccine the next morning. Don't know how I drove an hour to go do it, but I did. It was a good time.
All right. Who was it? Joey now?
Joey's up.
Yeah, I'm back up. This feels like another like pretty good value right here. I'm gonna go sports column. It's a big time underclassmen bar as sort of is Union, but
They don't sell booze though.
that's
To
true.
the underclassmen. The underclassmen don't drink.
Right. They just get there 4:10 and hang out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
They eat there.
yeah, they do have. I have had their wings. They're okay.
Wait, hold up.
Nothing like their Bush Lights, but
Speaking of eating, David, have you ever had, what is that pizza called at Joe's? The Hawaiian one with sriracha on it?
luau.
Yes.
Oh, one of the best
Joe's
pizzas.
Place actually does have pretty good food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have a version of a 6-pack and a pound, and it's 6 cheeseburgers and a pound of fries.
Oh my God, let's do it. I just talked about putting on weight. I may as well go there for the next month.
All right.
Cholesterol levels will be through the damn roof. But.
Stin.
Okay. Oof. A lot of good options here. So we're doing 3 total picks, right?
3 total.
Okay. So I have one that I think will be able to get back to me, so I'll save that.
Yeah.
I said I think. You're right. I'm going to go with DC's.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan there. Anytime you can give me a stein of beer, I'm going to be a happy camper. And usually you can get a stein of Busch Light for like $4 or $5 there. They got the really that where they put like the 4 TVs together to make a massive TV. Real good place to watch like an Iowa away game. Cheap beers, massive TV. Yeah, DC's. Good place.
This one's more of an underclassman bar. I'm gonna go with.
Because you're only 19 now.
22. I'm gonna go with Fieldhouse.
I was thinking about taking that.
I was thinking about keeping it for my next pick, but I feel like Fieldhouse is a good place to. I mean, it's tough to get a drink there on weekends.
It's
That's kinda
impossible.
Yeah. I was at an unnamed bar the other day that took me like 30 minutes to get a drink, and it was a Wednesday night.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fieldhouse
So-
is kind of like
If you're looking to have a good time, Fieldhouse is pretty fun.
it's kind of like the closest replacement that we have to Union. now.
El Rey's is getting up there though.
Yeah, I guess El Rey's like if you go upstairs, it's like live
there's
music
a back room.
downstairs,
Have
yeah,
you
and
been-
there's the back room,
Yeah,
and then there's
back
the upstairs, which is more like kind of their club area. El Rey's is very versatile. It's got like 3
Yes.
defined like bar areas.
That's why I think I was. Yeah.
Was it me?
No, it's me. I got back to back.
you don't
I'm
get to
gonna be
pick
so
again for a
pissed. I know
while.
I'm gonna. No, I don't think I will. I'm gonna preface this. I know. It's
they're
dark
gonna
now. We're recording outside, and I do have bugs. I'm the only person with light around me. But I do like dive bars.
Okay.
So, man, I'm not sure. You know what? I'm gonna take the Vine.
Okay.
Ooh, that's a good pick.
They got good food. They have
Yes.
dollar shots on Saturday night.
They have dollar apple pie shots every day of the week.
Oh, every day of the week,
Yeah.
even better. So
Wednesday nights is dollar you calls.
and like I've never had a bad time at the Vine. So, and then my last pick. This is strictly nostalgia. I'm not gonna win this draft, but I like the View
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
because
that's fire.
the only time I've ever been there, it was when Iowa beat Wisconsin last year, and it was snowing outside and it was dark, so it was
They have great drinks.
so pretty.
Yeah.
It was awesome up there.
I dropped a cool like $150 there that day.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was awesome.
So
Not really.
I'm up next.
I'm fine with mine.
I'm up
Sean,
next.
You?
Yeah. Let me think of some of the options still on the table.
you want me to name some?
No.
Okay.
No.
That
He
makes
has
it
to
more
figure
fun.
this out for himself.
I have a list of 15 here.
He's a grown boy.
I think I have like.
He goes to college here.
Yeah, this should not be that difficult.
No, I'm just trying to think of a good value pick.
Just don't steal mine.
All right, Mel.
Because I know Joey knows what I'm gonna pick.
I'm just so pissed.
I want to make a case for this one. I don't want to make a case for this one either. Because I feel like you can only go to it like once a week. And that's Bo James.
Is that your pick?
No,
I
my
like-
pick's
yeah.
still on the table.
I like Country Night. That's
Yeah.
pretty fun. It's a good place if you want to chill. Like, it's a weekday. Like, it feels acceptable to only have like 1 or 2 beers there.
Did you say that's your pick?
2 or 3, maybe.
Sure.
I'm gonna go with Bo James because I think their food is underrated too.
They do have decent food, and
They
like
have good
every year on their birthday, they do the $3 and whatever cent
Yeah.
like wing and burger basket. So
They have good darts. They have darts there.
Do they?
Yeah, front.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say.
Never played
I'm
darts
so
there.
underwhelmed by that. You're just like, oh yeah.
I feel like almost every bar has darts, but whatever.
Skin?
Okay. Glad this stayed on the table. I played it right. Left it here for me. We're gonna go with the Dublin Underground.
Damn it, that was my other dive bar out there.
I absolutely love going to the Dublin. It's cash only bar, which is fine. They got an ATM down there that doesn't have a fee, so that's pretty sweet.
Oh, it's clutch.
Yeah. There's just you walk down the stairs, you do a car bomb, you maybe play some pool or something. The Dublin is a vibe.
Joey.
This is a steal. Mickey's.
Damn it, yeah, that's on there. So-
Mickey's has the best bar food in Iowa City. You won't change
Yeah.
my mind about that.
I haven't been
And
there yet.
It's good.
Oh my
It's
god,
just-
wing night.
I'm a big Irish pub guy, too.
the atmosphere is good. They have a pretty solid selection of beer. They have the different Guinness drinks, the black and blue stuff like that.
Actually,
They call it like the Snake Venom when they have the apple orchard with it.
What?
The
Yeah, it's
Angry Orchard. Angry
Yeah.
Orchard.
so I don't know if you guys know this. 2 years ago, they wrote a song, and Mickey's is one of.
to be fair, we did not write the song. It was
Oh, it's
we recorded.
it was written by Bryce McAndrew,
Yeah,
written
it's a
and
absolute
produced by
banger.
Bryce McAndrew.
Yeah,
We were merely featured in it.
it's about as good a quality as you'd imagine.
Is that your claim to fame?
It actually is pretty popular.
Yeah, it is, and
It's called Game Day.
yeah, it's called Game Day.
We'll
We'll play it for
play
you
it at the end.
after.
Play it at the
Yeah.
end. Play it at the end of the podcast.
Closing the outro.
Yeah, Mickey's it's great, but I think of Mickey's as more of a food
Yes.
destination
I
than
think
a
of-
drinking
I
destination.
think of more of a day after type thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love Mickey's, and I have drank there in the past, but I go there more often to get food than I do to
Yes.
drink, so that's why I didn't take it.
Yes.
All right,
Sorry, Joey.
I don't mind the pick.
We-
I like
I'm not.
I think that pick is going to do me wonders in the.
It's up to the public.
I'm
It's
not
up to the
saying that it's a
people.
bad pick. I was just saying why I didn't take it.
And then rounding out the draft, Nebraska graduate David Eichel.
Nobody take airliner yet?
Nope.
Airliner.
I don't like airliner.
I like their food. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Airliner.
shitting on everybody's pick.
I've had some good nights at Airliner. Specifically upstairs though, where you can actually get a
Okay,
drink.
yes, that's my thing about airliner. If you're
Downstairs,
downstairs,
you aren't getting a
the
drink for
bar
30
area
minutes.
is so crowded because they have the
one
booths
person.
right there.
They have
It's
one person at the
there's
bar.
yeah, it sucks. The only time that you can have a good time at airliner is if you're upstairs or if you have like a private party in like the side room.
My backup pick was gonna be 30 hop.
That's solid.
It's a good pick. I've never
Especially
actually been
the
there, but I
rooftop-
hear
the
a lot
You know,
rooftop's
this
great.
is one I should have mentioned. Pints.
What's the
Pints
pool
is-
place?
I'm not a big pints guy.
TCB,
I will say, you get
TCB
drinks
is
after
almost
that.
fun. Yeah. It's a good
My
time. That's
okay.
one of those.
My problem with airliner was wasn't there like just a Twitter poll and they won best food in Iowa City?
Yeah, I think so.
They have really good pizza.
That's a joke.
I
think
like
the
their
pizza-
pizza.
Really good.
Pizza's
They
really
edged out
good.
Mickey's for that, which I was really salty about.
Yeah, Mickey's is the best.
Yeah, Pints
But-
is great because they from my experience, they stay open the latest because like 2
Yeah.
a.m. is bar closed, but everybody goes lights on at like 1:30 or whatever.
It's a very good if you want to close the night
Yeah,
there.
like if you get kicked out of the other bars, you can usually get into Pints for like one more drink before you actually have to go home.
right.
I strictly base my picks off of like either nights I've had in the past there or like where am I gonna go on a Friday night. Like
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
already eaten. Like I've already scarfed down like 2 Ponchos burritos. Like I'm ready to go out.
You got a quick metabolism, Dick? Can I have some of that?
yeah, me too.
Yeah. But yeah, just some of the others I wrote down. They're mostly restaurants, but like I had Quentin's and Mosley's on there. If you
The late night
Mosley's-
happy hour
is
at
Mosley
Mosley's
a bar?
they have
So they have a late night happy hour
They're all
every night
barbecue,
after
though.
9 o'clock.
but they-
All their drinks are buy one get one for a penny.
Where? Quentin's?
Mosley's.
Austin, you know I like everything.
Dude, I was a college student at one point in time, so I had
Yeah.
to figure out where I could go to get a drink deal every night. I was
And
a
then
bargain shopper.
The only other one I had listed was Bardo.
Cactus One. I know a lot. It's not really. It's a big pregame
Yeah.
place. People go for margs.
Margaritas, yeah.
That was a big time.
Chips and salsa before you hit the
Freshman,
bars.
Right.
sophomore
The tacos
year.
are a little sus. Tacos
Yeah,
are a
the
little
$1
sus.
tacos are pretty sus, but they
Yeah.
get the job done. That's about all you need.
But, all right. Well, any other we want to throw out there quick?
No free ads.
Yeah, I think
Even though we just gave out 20 free ads.
We probably left one place out.
Everybody's getting to know it.
Yeah, oh, you know what? The new bar that used to be Takanami, like Players Sports Bar and Grill or whatever.
Yeah.
I've been in there once, but it was just to get cash, so it doesn't really count.
Cash for what? Was it the
I will
block
say-
party?
It was block party,
Yeah.
yeah.
I will say Dublin, they don't charge your card for fees.
ATM?
ATM, yeah.
That's what
Really?
I said. Yeah.
I do
it's,
love
it's a
Dublin.
big
It was
thing. That was one of the
fine.
reasons.
I
went
I
there.
was gonna say, I
I was
definitely
there the
said
other
that
night.
as part of my reasoning for choosing that.
My friends were there the other night, and I tagged along. I didn't get an Irish
no-
car bomb or anything, but
No fee ATM.
You
It's
know what?
clutch.
This might be a
ATM.
good, like, we show these to the bars we listed. Maybe a few sponsorships opportunities out there. Who knows? You know? But,
Let's get Summit.
If they don't listen to the rest of the podcast, maybe.
yeah.
True.
But,
If they don't listen to Space Cowboys thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
Might be
you,
alright.
you want to space out that 15-minute period right there, that was a lot longer. But you guys got any final thoughts? Otherwise, we'll wrap it up here. I can't even see David across the table from me anymore. Or
Sorry
Joey.
for your struggle.
I got a fantasy draft coming up soon, so
tough.
a little nervous.
What are
Man,
you taking 1-1?
I don't know what my pick is yet.
If you're 1-1.
Christian McCaffrey.
I'm going with a running back.
bold statement. Is that your bold statement for the year? I'm going running back.
No.
Are we checking now?
Well, I see what my draft order
Christian
is.
McCaffrey?
I think the room is open. Oh, no, it's not
Yeah,
open
it's-
yet.
This is
Okay.
terrific
I'll
podcasting.
fill you guys in later.
Okay.
But if nobody has any final thoughts, football, guys, we made it. It's been 2 years coming. Let's have a hell of a time on game day here in 2 weeks. You know, Iowa, Indiana, tough game to open up. Hopefully we can roll a couple off right away, get to a non-conference schedule, and just survive the Big Ten, and hopefully play in Indy come December 3rd, December 4th, something like
I'll
that.
say this
We'll
though
make the
too,
trip.
like my goal for like pre-games this year is I'm gonna get to Kinnick early and I'm gonna walk around different tailgates and like I encourage people to say hi. Like it was so eerie last year going to games, like it really was. I mean,
Yeah.
we were all masked up, so spread out in the press box. There was nobody in the stands, and it was like super eerie to have them like pump crowd noise in. It's like literally one of the most like things I'm most excited about is to actually see people again.
It's
so like,
going to be electric.
so like
Melrose,
literally say hi and like say what's up or whatever.
yeah. But any other final thoughts?
I'm good.
Nope.
Alrighty. Well, guys, thanks for listening to another episode of the Hawkeye Tailgate Report. You can follow us, or you can subscribe to the show on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify. You can follow us on Twitter at @HTR_pod. That's Instagram as well. We have a Facebook page. Check us out. My Twitter is Myers_Luke. Joey's is JoeMama2196. Austin's is Myers Austin's. Sean's is,
SBach247.
and David's is.
At David Eichel and also HawkeyeInsider.com.
Alrighty, guys. Hey, it's football season. Let's have a good time. Go Hawks.
And fuck Nebraska.